was our entire budget.
Budget for the next 2 seasons gone.
There goes all our
My
shinies.
skin pain. Oh, that explains why.
There goes all our
My
shinies.
skin pain. Oh,
It looked great for 3 seconds. We've heard that before.
by the way, we don't make any money. Just if any viewers are watching and feeling sorry for us, please do subscribe.
Yeah. It's currently we're avoiding answering the doors because we haven't paid those bills. Ooh.
True story.
So very close to home.
It is.
Today of all days. Aye.
Oh.
Yeah, today of all days. Right, and yeah. Oh, yeah. So, Cortex 32, Book 2, Empire in Flames, 1152 IC, Episode 14. Working title, The Raid. With us tonight we have Holt as Renyir, Ivan as Leaf, Talbot as Arnung, and Nevin as Framling. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to another Thursday.
Ooh. Hello.
And
We can blame
yeah,
Microsoft for our slight delay. Thank you, Microsoft. You're a bag
Yeah.
of balls.
and because we're not trying to get you to pick us up to make shows.
No, not Microsoft. We're Apple all the way, even though
Yeah.
none of us use Apple.
Yeah, actually, yeah, there is a. Where is my Apple laptop?
And there you go.
Yeah,
You see?
it's in a cupboard.
Not the one that's holding up your desk.
Yeah, stops the table being wonky. Right, so last week we did not have Nevin with us. Nevin was travelling and bringing governments to their knees. He likes to say that it was already happening, but
yeah.
it wasn't really. Because
It
the
was
news
quieting
reported-
down, and then I got there, and then I brought it back in flames. I was there, just like whispering in people's ears, like, "You gonna stand for that? You gonna let them do that? Really? Oh, okay.
And,
if you want to be less of a man, I suppose so."
And now you've returned to another country, returning back to said country, which has been dominated in the news by threats of a bigger cousin. And
Yes, that's
an
right,
awakening dawn that, our fleet is going to take 20 years to rebuild, better get going. And the rest of the world going, I don't think that's going to be quick enough. And it wouldn't help anyway. So, yeah, good choice.
Fortunately, we share a common language, so we'll be able to talk to our new overlords in the same parlance.
Really quickly.
yeah. We can be able to say, "Aya, aya, aya, don't do that, aya."
Just show them reruns of Commando. Aye. So welcome back, Nevin. You were missed.
Thank you.
You know, the guys have no doubt lots to tell you.
I didn't watch the rerun, so I'm just presuming there was some action going on, and you didn't all just sitting around just like going, "It's not the same."
3 hours of sitting in a pub. Oh, wait a second. No, they got themselves up to
Mischief. Yeah.
well, the working title was, what was the working title? In our defence, we were
Unsupervised.
unsupervised. That was it. In our defence, we were unsupervised. I then renamed it as it turned out that I think that they did quite well, but I'm going to let them tell you in game.
Right. Okay.
So, like we did with the last time you were away, the only update that they have is they know what they got up to. Hopefully, they'll remember as they're talking. Nope. And for you, you were all in Flandeliers pawnbrokers in the kitchen, having been chased through the sewers and through various different by something.
By the thing.
The thing, and so you're basically right. Okay, we're going to have to do the raid. The raid has to happen, but there are still a few little things that we might need to know about that might benefit us. They might not. So we're going to go tonight. And then you went and had a nap, and the guys had till nightfall or whenever you decide what time you want to go. You didn't actually say what time. Probably early morning. You were thinking. So you went and had a nana nap, and the guys went away. And you went upstairs, much to the proprietor's, Joseph, another Joseph, annoyance. But what's he going to do?
Exactly.
And he left you alone for several hours. And they did, and they have now returned. Now, Leaf, if you remember, you were off tinkering with bread on a wholesale, on a large. So you went to the Dragon's Ales.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
yourself
right.
some-
That's
got
right.
some-
It was
yeah.
like, oh, I could do that at the end. All right,
Yes.
I remember that now.
So you went off and you fiddled with the bread, and so you're getting back now. So well, hopefully you remember. But let's be honest, it's all Arnung down to him, isn't it, Framling? So basically, you come down the stairs as Leaf tromps into the back door, kicking mud off his feet with a smug smile upon his face, or not. I'm putting description into your mouth there, mate. You might come in a ballerina's dress, scowling.
No, smoke's fine.
Yeah, smug's good.
Is it Wednesday?
So yeah, right. It is it's about 8 o'clock, 8 of the bells, on the 5th night for you two, in the city of the White Wolf. We are looking at day 0 as being when you two entered the city and started turning everybody out and putting everyone's noses out of joint. So even though obviously Leaf's been here 15 years and Renyir's been here several months, we're talking day 5, night of day 5, if that makes sense. Yep,
Right.
Monday night. So you're coming down the stairs. Arnung, Renyir, you haven't been in the kitchen long. Maybe you've prepared some food. Cut some thick wedges of cheese and some bread. Got the kettle on. And Leaf, you now return. I'm not frozen. Someone just walked past with a sheepdog under her arm.
A sheepdog.
Yeah,
Right.
under our arm, because that's what we do. So there we are. That we have it. You're in Joseph Vandelier's pawnbrokers. About 8 o'clock. Leaf, you're walking in the door. You see Framling coming down through the narrow stairs into the kitchen, where Arnung and Renyir are sitting opposite sides of the small table. Sandwiches, some meat, some cheese have been cut, and you can see that there's hot water on the boil.
All right.
Good evening. So, Renyir, what have we discussed? What lesson have we learned tonight? Once you finish your brandy.
Alcoholic on the way. Get myself a cup of tea, by the way, on that hot pot. Starting to looking and just bringing out a cup, having a drink.
Food's nice. Nom nom nom.
Well, obviously, as you walk down the stairs and you can see he walks in the door, they're in mid-conversation.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm just heading towards them, not interacting them. I'm just.
We do not, under any circumstances, mention his name. Do we?
Framlings?
Bye, Leaf!
The heck?
He just walks in, goes, nah, turns around and walks straight back out the door.
Yeah, me. Straight away, man. What a nightmare.
I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
How did I...
Everyone, scene from Star Trek. Ah!
Yay! No! Crap!
Oh, man.
Oh, wait, no, stop.
Is there any chance of the milk tray man getting a more than a 3-watt bulb?
Yeah, let's take it out. Let's take it out on halt.
Oh, nice distraction.
Yeah, so Arnung says to halt. We don't mention his name. Boom. Leaf turns and walks straight out the door, and
Comes in,
and Framling turns. Yeah, and Framling turns on Renyir. What's with the low candles? It's,
Arnung says not to bring them.
So there we go, Arnung. Yes, Holt is either playing coy, or you suspect hasn't got a clue what you're talking about.
Don't mention his name. That was stupid. Mentioning Renald's name.
Oh, yeah.
Where did he get? Where did this great idea come from, Renald? I mean, what? I mean, I've got nothing against Renald personally. I mean, in fact, I owe him my life. But that's for another time.
Yes, for another time.
Don't talk about stupid stuff, which is going to get you killed.
So, like, you talking about demigods and that in the middle of the street while being followed by Knights of More.
Right, that's it. Get out.
Oh, take my cheese and go.
Take it, Brandy. Yeah.
So what's going on, guys?
Framling.
What's
How was your meditation?
What's been very good, very refreshing. But I
Good.
can't help but say that I just overheard some strange mutterings mentioning gods, demigods, Knights of More. It's been a quiet evening. Everyone just been getting prepared. No, nothing untoward happened. Yes.
Nope. Nothing
Yes.
untoward.
Oh no, nothing. Oh, he's back. Just give it. Oh no, nothing. Just sat down.
So opening the door. Maybe it's not. Did anything happen?
Up here, we went for a little wander, see what information we could gather. I paid a little visit. I was invited to the Red Moon by Oberlander. We had a little chat, him and I. Mainly business, nothing related to current issues. Nothing that needs to concern us right now.
Well,
Just
if
yet.
it's Oberlander, then everything is to concern us
Yeah,
because
He's
Oberlander.
just harmless right now.
Many terms could be used to describe Oberlander, but I suspect harmless has never been one of them.
Oh.
That's a real map. It's moving. Sorry,
Yes.
it's an actual map. I just saw things moving on it. Like, oh,
Yes.
it's like wow, it's Google Maps for the White City, the White Wolf. Can you put in restaurants? See what pops up.
Framling!
Yeah, Framling might not have woken up yet. He's staring up at the ceiling.
Looking and going, I can see the map. I can see the sky.
Stop talking in tongues. What is this Googler?
Void
So-
warrior.
Oberlander had an invitation of sort. He wants me to go. Apparently, I've been invited to Nung. Apparently, there's another a council gathering of some sort for the underworld.
And at this time, he decides to make that offer.
Yes, Nung.
What else transpired? Or was it just a simple you walk in and he said, let's go to Null? And when? When does he want you to go to Null?
But well, whenever the invite. For God's sake, peasants.
I think you've all had a bit of a problem. Has it been a bad night? I mean, Leaf walks in, turns and walks off. Renyir's wandering in and out the door freely. Framling's bickering to himself, staring up at the ceiling, and he's shouting, "Peasants!"
No, apparently the underlords have invited me to a seat. So I don't know what that means. I don't know when this invite's going to happen. But like I said, it's something that I'm not concerning myself with right now because we have this matter to deal with at the.
And did her Oberlander mention anything about what's been going on? Inquire about what we're up to? Or any such thing?
Well, not really.
Oh, that was high pitched.
Was it really?
Sounds very strangulated, like someone had a hold of something important. Not really.
Just not feeling myself, Framling. That's what it is.
Okay, so what transpired? Because clearly you're not telling me everything.
No. What did transpire is that we found out some vital intel after our good friend Leaf did some wonderful work. He happened to speak with Oberlander's bit on the side and found out some information about stuff. It's very important stuff.
Font of knowledge here.
Where is Leaf? Leaf!
So, while we're waiting for Leaf to come in,
Munchie.
perhaps you could
Nom nom.
perhaps we could discuss what her Oberlander is thinking about what we're up to. You must have an opinion. You must have heard about things. We were running through the street being chased by large, heavily armed knights.
I think he is concerned that we've been asking too many questions. He wants to know why I'm here. Why we're here.
And you told him?
Nothing.
You just said nothing. He asked you a
Pretty-
question and you stared at him stone-faced.
Yeah, pretty much.
What
I
was the actual much, rather than the pretty much?
I angered him. Because
You angered him?
I didn't give him the answer he was looking for.
Right. Okay. How angry?
Pretty angry. I mean, put it this way: if he didn't need me for something, I'd probably be dead.
Right. And what's the need, and how long have we got before you are dead?
Yeah, I think it's very clear. He answers to somebody else, somebody above him, and that somebody wants me alive.
Okay. What else?
So yes, leave here. Oi.
I'm actually outside though, aren't I?
So the disembodied voice.
Leave.
I'm looking through the window.
Come on, yeah.
Someone sent us outside.
Nobody sent you outside.
That was just because
Right, what we're talking about? Yeah.
So
What we're talking about?
Sit. We are discussing what we have learned. You spoke to Eva.
Mm-hmm.
There's girl. You found
Bit of local
valuable
business.
gold.
Yeah. So quite low key actually. I'm quite proud of how we did that. We've got some information, and we've you know how you wanted to go into the barracks tonight.
Mm.
I've managed to basically poison the food that's going in there today.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Poison to knock people down, or poison to kill everyone?
to knock them down.
Right. So how long we got roughly? Would you say?
Oh, it'll hit them kind of like around about 10, 11, and it'll last about 4 or 5 hours.
Right. Okay. And we are certain, with the strength, the dose, the nature of this compound, that it's going to take out the knights as well, and not just the entourage.
They've got to eat it.
Right. But even if they did eat it, is it the sort of thing?
Oh yeah, it's just nasty shit. I mean, it's they're not going to be happy, like, but they're not going to be very effective either.
It's not going to have them rushing to the jakes every 2 seconds, so that when we're crawling through the pipes, we're going to be getting inundated with fresh material, is it?
Yeah, but
There we go. Great. Right, some sort of sheet. Hat protection.
there's a finite amount you can shit, you know.
It's true.
And if we turn up a little bit early, where they're a little bit kind of in the early stages, we should be good.
Right, so you reckon if we turn up around just before 10, it should have had an effect by then, and they should be in the process of being debilitated?
Yeah, I mean the shits will come later, but there'll be kind of like a period of kind of like discomfort, you know.
When will they be knocked out then? When will they actually just be
12 o'clock.
incapacitated? 12
They'll be
o'clock,
gone
okay,
with
so-
12, like.
So that's really when we need to be getting in now, or round about that point.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good chance it'll all flush away by the time we get there. So it's up to you, really. I mean, you're leading
Well,
the troop.
Let's be fair, it's not exactly going to be a salubrious place, no matter who's adding to the various bits of debris that goes down there.
It's
We're
going
going
to be hideous.
to be wading through it, so we're best not wear your best clothes. However, I'm more interested in the point when they are incapacitated. I don't want anyone to be... Everyone, give the maximum amount of time for them to be knocked down, and sacrifice some of the time when, you know, perhaps we could have gone in half an hour earlier, but I'd rather give half an hour on the other side to make
It
sure that they're
depends.
properly out.
It depends on what time they eat. I'm guessing if they eat around about 8, 9. I mean, if they eat earlier, then they'll be down earlier, obviously, So, I mean, we didn't have that level of information.
Right.
I mean, there might be, 6 o'clock teas,
Right. Okay. We didn't know when the scullery gets going and when the kitchen starts making their food. We don't quite know that information.
Mm.
Right. Okay. Arnung, is there anything else we need to know?
No, we've got our plan. We've got our way in. You just say when.
And this Eva person.
Mhm.
What's her story?
Just local business. I thought she'd be really useful to kind of like set up a guest house locally. So kind of like I said, I'd go into business with her.
Right. Okay. Well, are we set? Have we got any questions? Any considerations? I'll take
It'd be
that
nice to be able to
silence.
see. Nice to spend some time kind of like scoping out the place, though, wouldn't it? See
Well-
if we can see anyone being affected. That would be good.
Well, can we get in there? We go and get an overview of the place. There's no buildings that can look into it.
Mm.
It's not the sort of place that you can wander past and see anything from. It's a closed gate, high wall. I quite agree. I think it's not an unreasonable idea. I just don't know how we'd accomplish it. It would be perfect if we had oversight, that we could look into it and see that people are falling all over and signs of the place quietening down, or at least the movement being in
I'm
the
just being
direction.
overcautious.
But I don't. If you know how we could do such a thing, I have a way, but I'm a bit loath to use that way, given our experiences this morning. No, I take it that silence means we've got no any fresh ideas.
I think the time for talking is done. I think it's time for action.
Yeah, okay. So now we take a 5-minute step back, because when Arnung says that, that's the point where you think, oh, we should have just thought about it as 2 seconds for a little bit more, shouldn't we, before we start thinking with our boots?
Somebody get me a hammer. A bow. A lot of knives. And some gear that's...
Is Oberlander aware? Has he got a hint of what's been going on at the moment, Arnung? This morning?
Probably, yes.
And our intentions tonight, is that being given away?
No.
Has my have I been given away? Do they know who I am?
Not yet, but I think they're going to slowly put 2 and 2 together.
There's no 2 and 2 to be put together.
You look like a witch.
I don't know. Got these great threads on.
You look like a witch with great threads on.
Right. Well, we best get in and out of here, this city, quickly. There's things transpiring that are very worrisome. Very worrisome. Do we need anything? Are we ready?
I'm ready. No, no, I'm not ready. I need stuff.
Well, okay.
I'm going
to finish this evening cup of tea. Just a small cup of tea. And we'll get going. Ready yourselves?
Great. Leave. Get my things.
What things? I don't know where they are.
Come, Renyir. I need things.
Well, these are the things that you left in that haunted place that we ran from.
What haunted place?
The Dragon's Inn.
Oh, the thing with the candles.
The Dragon Cellar.
Yes.
The dragon
Sorry,
eels.
I don't-
Remember, you went from the
Oh, right, yeah, right.
you went
yes,
from the
sorry.
drowned rat. You got chased from
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
You went
yeah.
to dragon's
Yep.
eels, and it manifested. Yeah.
All right,
So
we
you're
can
gonna-
go down there, I suppose. I think we should leave Framling here, though.
I think that's a good idea. Or maybe the reason why that thing manifested itself.
That would be my guess.
You've got nothing to fear.
Wait a minute. So you're not actually this entire plan, and we are not going in.
No, we're talking about you getting your stuff back from the Dragon Ales area.
Yeah, we're going to the brewery to get your stuff.
I don't need to come to the brewery to get your stuff.
And so
Then you
I've
can
got to
come-
go.
Well, listen,
Hey, I can go if you want.
Yes, you should. I think that's a great idea, Leaf.
Right, okay. I'll go and get all the gear that was left there, bring it up here. It should be nice and clean.
While
Can
you're
you
there,
can you
I also
carry it all
require,
by yourself?
I require
Oh, yeah.
a bow and some arrows.
A bow?
Not like a bow, like an animal bow.
Yeah, a bow. All right, okay.
Oh wait, turns out I have all my knives and all my belongings. I just require a bow and arrow.
And arrow.
A arrow.
A
One
reusable
shot,
one.
one kill.
Over and
For
over.
myself.
So are you sending us down to the brewery for if you got all your gear?
Technically, he's a twat. Muttered the ever living man under his breath.
On showing his age.
Shoop.
So you want me to sort you out a bow and some arrows, yeah?
Yes.
Have you looked around the pawn shop?
Is there a bow and arrows here?
Yes.
Then that's most excellent work, Leaf.
Thank you.
Bring it to me.
It's just behind you there. It's a beautiful bow in plain view.
Why have I got a bow and arrows on the mind? As he leans on it.
Snap.
Bow and arrows.
Leaning on it.
Funnily enough, you're sitting in the bow and arrow section. We've got a special this week. Extra arrows. Roll heads and armor piercing.
He is not susceptible to advertising at all, is he? Bouquet of flowers.
Mate, I suggest that composite bow though. It's good in tight corners. It's short, you know. It's got that spring. I think you'll like it.
The one you're sitting on. Yeah. Oh.
Watch crossbow. Ching.
It'll work better if we're in, like, you know, the tunnels and stuff, and you need to fire it off.
So we take this moment to get our things.
Oh. You got your hammer?
No.
It's going to be close work, and you're bringing a bow.
I have knives. I have
Oh,
a sword.
We used to like your hammer.
I realised it was shit.
Well, it's very different from what I remember. You really used to like it. Used to. People didn't used to like you using it on them.
Yeah,
I
well, not long
distinctly-
after, I got pretty fucked up.
By the hammer.
Or by everything else. Realised the hammer didn't work.
Right. Okay. This is all beyond me. Kids these days. Okay. Well, shall we go?
We're waiting for you, Framling. We're
Well,
ready.
we were waiting for you to sort out your bow and arrow situation.
I have it. Let's go.
Okay, Leaf.
I'm
Lead
getting
on.
impatient.
All right. Follow me.
Well, I'm assuming that you're
Well,
heading to.
is it? Wait a minute, just before we get going, it is sort of late. We haven't just sort of decided that we're going to go there around about midnight and then head off at 6:30.
Well, it's
Just turn up.
it's
About 7 o'clock.
Well, what time is it?
So it's about 8. So
So right, let's go.
Right,
Not
let's
yet.
go. We're ready. Oh,
Well, it will take a while to get through the town to the tunnels and stuff. I mean, I think it's a reasonable time to leave.
yeah,
Right.
I mean basically, once because you can. I mean, this time of night, I'm assuming that you are going to walk the city. Are you going in through the west gate where you've already organised things, or are you
Yes.
because you've
Yeah,
already
it's
got that
nearest.
lined up? Actually, it's
Aye.
not, mate. Yeah, the south gate is the nearest.
Well, to this place, but not nearest to the barracks.
Oh, absolutely right. Yeah. Yep. So you've got the western barracks. You've already lined up the word's gone. Shit.
Rat.
Rat.
The jack.
Yeah, the sewer jacks. That's it. Jesus. Sewer. Led by Jesus.
By Jesus.
Jesus.
Jesus is South American friend.
So basically, yeah. So you've already been to the Western Gate and spoken to the Night Watch commander, who's Main Gold, if you remember. I don't know if you recalled that because originally it was a couple of weeks back. Out of game, obviously, it was a couple of weeks back when you were going to go in there. So you head north. Are you going to head through your district as best you can?
Yeah.
Not
Definitely.
through the main street. So you're heading north and west to the Southgate Ostwald district, which is the southwest section of the city, and you head up into the next area, heading towards the northwestern gate itself, where there is a sewer jack base barracks. So basically, having headed through the city, again, it is a very large city, and it does take you some time to get there. The Ulrican bell is banging. Tolling, that's it. Tolling the 10 o'clock bell, and you still have a few minutes to go when you've walked your way through.
It's in full dubstep mode.
You ahead of you is the northwestern gate. It is closed and barred. closed. You see
off his tits.
whatever you've got, it's catching. You see there's two braziers burning on above the main gate, and you can see several of the city militia wearing the Middenheim tabard in colours, which is viewable, still visible because the gates are obviously well lit. Leaf leads you to a squat-looking building, dwarven design, part of the original city. You can see that there is an imperial or provincial badge above the door itself, and there's several lights on. Like I say, it's a fairly squat building. Its door is heavily reinforced and of a square design. It is not adorned in any way. It is not. It's just made of like that slate grey, though of the Falschlag. You just opening the door and wandering in, Leaf.
Mm-hmm.
I take it the rest of you guys are following. Unless
Yeah.
you say otherwise. When you go in, immediately to the right-hand side, it's a fairly small room. It's very old, and you can see the timber is much darkened by and weathered by age. There's a smell that is quite strong. It's the smell of dry and feces, effectively, human waste. And boots line the corridor to your right. You can see that there is ahead of you, the door opens onto a back courtyard, and you can see a man. Pretty much his face is pockmarked and scarred from childhood diseases. You can see that he's chewing on something that's yellowed and bent while he scrubs at one of a long set of boots. You can see the muck is congealing around the floor, the cobblestones, and it's up his sleeves and he's around his ankles. To your right is a dirty, overcrowded room. You can see that 6 men are lying back in various different positions of sleep. Snoring is loud, and the smell of the human waste and body odour mixes. To your left, Leaf taps on a door, or does he just walk straight in?
I'll tap on the door.
Yeah. Inside, you have like, enter, enter. The sound of somebody that's obviously been asleep and having to clear his throat. Opening the door, you can see that the room itself is not much smaller than the main room where these men have been sleeping. However, in here you see there's quite an old-looking desk, bowing somewhat in the middle, sagging from age. You can see that the timber has been splintered and the surface is scarred. A man sits at a round back chair with his booted feet up on the table. Unlike the rest of the men outside and the boots that you've seen, these knee-high sort of waders, he's wearing fairly well-to-do standard footwear. There is no muck upon him, and yet he still manages to give off a look of despair. He has the uniform of a commander of the city watch. You can see there's gold filigree across the shoulders, but it is in much disrepair. The uniform is crinkled and stained with sweat. The man is unshaved and his eyes are bloodshot. There's several candles burning thickly in their little bronze candle holders. His feet are brought down as he sees Leaf standing in the doorway. I was expecting you yesterday.
Yeah, change of plan. All good tonight, though.
Yes, of course. The men have been told to ignore anybody. They'll enjoy the sleep in. I'll keep them away. When do you expect to return?
I don't know. I suppose start worrying after 3.
I'll make sure that they head down the 3 bells. And if they do find you, do offer any assistance, of course. You see that he's licking his lips nervously, and you can see he's rubbing his hands together. Of course, the back the back entrance is available to you. There's just some cleaning going on. Just ignore the men and good luck. And he looks somewhat puzzled. And the rest of you can see that this is a man that's sort of grasping at what's the right thing to say nervously. Good hunting?
Thank you very much. If I catch anything good, I'll bring it to you.
Yes. Yes, do, please.
It was a joke. They'll only be turds.
Yes. It's quite thick tonight. Again, the abnormal lack of rainwater is not helping.
I bet it was a lot better last night, wasn't it?
I didn't lead last night's foray, of course. The men only needed to go down once, and they didn't have to venture far. Yes, but it was a relief. Last night was a good shift, and again, no doubt tonight will be similar.
Have you heard any odd noises coming from the sewers?
There's always odd noises from the sewers, especially under the Moors Park. You know,
right.
that bloody blasted gate. But nothing unusual. We haven't been down there for a couple of days, obviously.
Okay.
Is there anything I need to be aware of?
No, we're just going to have a poke around, see what we can find.
Well, yes. Enjoy yourself.
Always. Goodbye.
Good evening. Yes. He looks past you. You can see him taking in everybody. It's not one of those stares that, I need to, remember what I'm looking at. He's sort of, it's more curiosity of who the hell's going down there. His eyes widen at the small, slightly built child, the crazy-eyed, tattooed tribesman. But he does somewhat blanch when he obviously mistook a shadow of the doorway for the 6.5-foot tall lumbering Arnung. He has a reaction for each of them. Huh?
It's gone very Johnny Depp. Then you got to do the sneer. Ooh.
Ooh, peanut.
Excellent. If Warner Brothers would like to pick me up as a Johnny Depp double, I'm available for a modest fee. Right.
He looks at you. He looks at Leaf uncomfortably for a while. He's avoiding looking at you guys or making eye contact as you sort of stand there shuffling your feet and coughing.
I'll move off into the lower parts then, before it's more awkward.
Yeah, you see Leaf just sort of staring at him until the man seems to wilt away back into his chair. Stepping out the office, you move to the left. You step over the guy cleaning the boots. He looks up out of mild interest. You see that there's a dullness to the eyes before going back to his grisly task of cleaning last night's equipment. The courtyard itself is dominated by a large grated hole in the ground, effectively. The stains coming out in all directions give rise to obvious the location that this tunnel will lead you to. The grate is lifted up and back. You can see it's a heavy grated affair. There is a lock and bolt which is on the surface of it. However, this particular grate looks like it's been held in check, held back for some time. Noticeably, the hinging is rusted. Just another sign of the laziness of the mundane to these guys, where these grates are so thick and it's like looking at a sideways portcullis. The tunnels obviously are any city's, especially this city's, weak point. This one has clearly been left in a held back position for some time. You see that there are several sturdy ladders, completely and totally covered in grime. Around this circular courtyard there are pegs and benches, and there is a lot of heavy leather waxed protective clothing, overcoats, footwear, knee hide, elbow length gloves, that sort of thing.
We should nick some of this for a bit.
I'm already wearing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm only wearing it, you turn around to see a boot staring back at you with a frizzy mop of hair. You take a moment to dress yourselves. These are all oversized anyway, no matter what. Renyir, you do the best you can to find the smallest available to you. Having to really find the smallest jacket, really sort of cinching that in with a rope belt. But they're all designed to be over clothing. Quickly dressing, you look down at the tunnel, and the smell is extravagant. But you are getting used to it. It's got to that level of sickly sweet.
Like a
So
beer
it's,
shit.
it's like knocked out our sense of smell almost.
Yes. Yeah. You've got that. It's still there, and it's at the back of the nose and at the top of your throat. But otherwise, your senses have went nah.
But if I breathe through my mouth, then I won't be able to smell it too bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, you're well aware that these are the larger, maintained and specially made tunnels by the dwarfs. There has not been a known methane pocket explosion in living history. The safety of these sewerjacks who run patrols 24 hours a day, every 6 hours. Of course, some people might remember these tunnels as there's countless breathing holes. They are designed in such a way. There's only a few of them that intersect across the city. The newer human ones are the ones that are dangerous, which you've already experienced earlier in the day. So there are available hooded lanterns and that sort of thing.
Lanterns.
Hooded.
These will be useful.
We have lanterns in a sewer.
Hooded lanterns.
Well, hooded just means you've got a top on it. It doesn't necessarily mean there isn't a flame burning in it.
So, like I say, these are...
Are these safety lamps?
Yes.
Right, okay. Right,
but
fair enough.
These aren't human sewers. These are dwarf tunnels that were designed and built to make sure that there was never a build-up of methane, of that dangerous gases.
All right, okay, but when we're hoping, or we know that these sewers will get us to where we need to get to, or are we likely to have to move into human sewers at some point? We may have to drop these, as what I'm saying. Well, not drop them, but extinguish them.
Well, Leaf that told you a couple of days ago when he first talked about the plan that this sewer here will lead directly to the intersection under the burning pit, and then there's a tunneled out bit from a previous owner that leads to the barracks.
Right, okay, let's do this. Oh, he's had enough.
Let's do this. No!
No, change my mind.
My job is done. They're in the trap.
He's back. And I forget how, so I need you there. So you go away.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Why is it doing that? It just changes the order. Whatever. Right. Welcome back, everybody. So you climb down these heavy-duty ladders into the old dwarf tunnels. They are around 5 foot from top to bottom. Around about 1.5 to 2 foot of it is filled with human waste. This area is fairly well cleaned out by the day shift. But as soon as you get down there, the one thing that you are aware of is that there is a sense of a movement of a breeze. There is literally air funneling past you, heading from the interior to the outer wall of the mountain. Now, bear in mind that you have climbed down a considerable depth. The tunnels are clearly not of human make. Everything about this is, from the way that the stone is carved and fits perfectly. But there is, this is not a gushing wind, but you can see, you could feel that movement of air.
There's moving air. Yeah. And is Arnung bent double?
He's going to be on his knees, if not. He's 6.5 foot tall, and you've got a 5 foot tunnel.
Oh, fuck.
So you're going to be in an alert crouch for the entire schlop all the way down there. Yeah, legs are going to be like jelly by the time you get there.
He's definitely taking the gorilla approach, aren't you?
What choice do I have?
Swim. Just breaststroke your way down.
Just lie on your back and let them pull you along.
Just remembering to push your face in.
The one thing you're definitely going to struggle for is not foiling your bow. No doubt, being a highly trained and experienced bowman, you haven't actually notched it, and you make sure that the string is carefully secluded away in the driest, most wax-covered and protected area
of your armpit.
You shouldn't be wearing that bow on your back, Arnung.
This is how the elves do it.
Yeah, they're not crawling through shit.
Yeah, they never come down here though. All right.
You spend. You're heading southeast. Arnung very quietly slopping away. You are able to move past each other. You can go 2 abreast if that's what you wish. They are that wide, but the height never deviates. There is never a sense of an alteration in this never-ending darkness. You have the lamp above you, out in front of you. Effectively, Arnung is more miserable than you guys are. But if about an hour and a half goes by, you have become
an hour and a half
completely
of just
immune.
slopping through this crap.
Yeah. The going is not easy. You are literally wading. Yeah. You turn to look at him, you can see his face is more than just pebble dashed.
Oh, in my life.
As I look at him, I give him the look of, I've seen things from the void that didn't make me look like this.
I'm well off in front, obviously. I'm struggling to hear what they're saying.
I'm avoiding the splashes.
There is, like many men and women passed in painful positions, tense positions, you pass your time quietly insulting each other and joking on at each other's expense, mainly Arnung's.
As an easy target, he fills the entire tunnel.
In time, like I say, about an hour and a half's passed, and the first time you see a branch of the sewers big enough for even Renyir to pass through. It is obviously a dwarf tunnel again. There is no human branches. There is no cave-ins. This is just one long tunnel with many inlets from above mainly, but from the side, all thick with human waste and. The odd, not as many as you'd expect, the odd rat or two pile. But there is nothing really that sort of sticks out. There is not a huge access point to these sewers. People aren't throwing bodies down here. If you find a body down here, it was brought here by people that know their way. But because it's patrolled every 6 hours, the place is fairly clean. For for the stuff that you might have thought you'd see, but obviously filled with the stuff you expect. Eventually, you come to a branch, a very large intersection. The tunnel heads south, no doubt, to the south gate, continuing southeast to the old quarter, and further north, you take the northern branch. Heading up through the northern branch, you travel another 20 minutes, maybe less. It's hard to tell. When Leaf pulls up short, there is a section of the wall has been removed. You could have easily have missed it if you happen to be looking in any other direction other than directly at it in this dark and gloom where everything is brown. It is a cutout section, a square area that one person can climb up. You can see dug into the earth are these foot and hand holes, very similar, if not identical, to what you saw that you used climbing up into the Dragon's Ales brewery. Somebody has carved hand and footholds. Looking up, you'd have to take turns, no doubt. You can see a grate is about 15 foot above. Something about the grate, there seems to be a light, not firelight. You have to be very careful to shield the torch that anyone that happens to be above wouldn't see a flickering light below them. But it looks to be lighter above than it is below. You can feel air pushing down on your face.
Pushing down, not being drawn up.
No. Yes, being drawn up.
So the air's going up, yeah?
Yes. There is a scurrying of large rats from your location as you had approached. The reason being, when you get there, as you can see, lodged into holes, sometimes the brickwork, bits of skin, meat, congealed blood, the further up you go. Feasting ground for the rats, which have now been disturbed by your presence.
What are they eating?
Looks like human. Literally, people have been. There's human skin. You see teeth, finger bones.
So it just looks like carcasses. Corpses have been dumped down here.
Not full corpses, bits of.
Bits of.
Yeah, bits
okay.
removed from people. You see nothing larger than a finger joint. A finger, bits of finger. But mainly it's thick with blood and skin. Thick,
skin.
like down, like flayed level of skin.
Right. Okay. So big
Strips
sheets of it.
Yep.
Well, that's disturbing, isn't it? I think we can see the level of depravity we're going to reach when we get through into that building. Steel yourself, men.
I suggest we send Renyir up first to do it with a scout.
What a fantastic idea. Go on, lad. You'll be fine. The gods are watching over you.
Climbing up,
La 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 la.
flicking the shit off as I go.
Step
No
on
one can
one
hurt
side.
me.
Stab.
Climb up to the. Slowly climb up.
When you get to the top, it is, like I say, it's a good 15-foot climb. You get close to the grate itself, and there is no waste, human waste. What's clinging to the rails is human skin, and it's been literally sloughed down this hole. The smell is of congealed blood, of rotting meat, that sort of thing above you. Looking directly up, you can see that obviously this is quite a large room. You can feel through because the grate it's quite big. It's it's much wider than Arnung is, for example. It's almost identical sized to the one that you entered. So as you get your face up against it, it is thick iron, and so you can see a good section of the room, and there are because there's a little bit of light filtering in from above you. What you see above, the ceiling is another 15 foot above you, is an identical hole leading up, and you can see this night sky above you.
All right.
Is this the
Yep.
Stop. I heard someone speak.
Can someone tell me what's going on?
what do you see?
We said in a whisper.
What do you see? The night
going on?
sky. The night sky.
What did he say?
I have a feel for on the ledge or the grate.
Are there any walls above you?
Wolves?
Walls. Can you see any angle on walls, or are we in the middle of the town square?
There's walls, and there's another hole up top where I can see the sky.
All right, okay. Can you move the grate?
That's what I'm checking. Trying to find out where the hinges are and which way it goes. And if it's locked.
Check your phone.
It's on silent.
Which?
You can see him working away. You can hear. You can hear him scraping at the metal with his knife. He's working diligently up there. Whatever he's found, he hasn't called down for assistance.
And then when I unlock it, I have to slowly climb back down.
Obviously, you have no idea that what he just did there, so he climbs back down.
Well,
I've unlocked it, but I won't be able to lift it.
Arnung?
Okay. It's just been nice to stand up. I'll climb up.
Okay.
I'll make sure I'm
Get
not
to-
underneath them.
Get to the top and get to the grate and push it.
Okay. Again, just to qualify, when you get to the top of the tunnel, you get to the top of the shaft, there's the grate. It is huge, thick and heavy. You can see that
Okay.
there is a large room about you. The reason you can see that is there is literally light from the moon, is filtering down from above. And the reason being is when you look up, you can see the ceiling of the chamber above, and there's an identical hole, a shaft that leads up through the lower the lower bedrock to an actual surface level. So what you've
Right.
got is if you imagine that's the street, top finger, you've got a shaft,
Yeah.
right? Then you've got a room, then you've got a shaft here,
Yeah.
which
yeah.
is where you're in, So
Where- yeah.
somebody's taken advantage of having this shaft, built a one in the street above, so that no doubt the way that you're thinking of the way this is going to be. Leaf, you know the underground as well as anyone out of 4 of you. Renyir, you've been down here. The only conclusion is that is the courtyard at the top, and when they clean the courtyard, they brush all the manure and horse piss and mess down that shaft. It then drops onto through the shaft, lands on the grate that's above you, and eventually makes its way down. They don't care that they're obviously also torturing people in this lower section. Yeah? Does that make sense now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there's a room. Is there access to
Yes.
a room here? Yeah. Okay. So we're concerned about. So the grate that I'm at right now is the one that gives access to the room,
Yes. From
Yeah.
the sewers into this lower room.
into the lower room. Okay. Because we don't want to go to the courtyard because we know what that is.
Yeah.
So yeah, how does it open? Does it push? Pull? Sorry. How does slide? Push?
Right. You can't see whatever lock he was looking at. There is no, in your mind, you're looking for something to stick a key in or whatever. He's told you whatever was up there was locked and it's no longer. You put your feet on either foothold, get your shoulder into it, and start pushing. It starts to move. You could feel it budging, but the pain in your shoulder from pushing up against this iron would be a lot worse if you weren't wearing your clothes plus a large wax overcoat. You take a hold of it. This thing would weigh a ton. This is not literally. This is going to weigh heavy, but something's holding it in place. You're really pushing in against it. You start rocking it. You're finding with rocking, not only is there matter above you, managing to find its way into your hood and down your neck. It's landing on your face, and you have these little bits of mess or breaking free. Then the sound of what reminds you of tearing flesh, and it pops and it goes upwards. It's that heavy it doesn't fling back. Even now that you've got it moving, you realise it's also rusted in its hinges. But in amongst where this grate's been sitting, it's been level with the floor. In around the join has been several months of blood and grime and bone. Not all of it made it down the shaft, and that had made a seal. You've got it slightly popped.
Okay. I'll take a moment, get my breath. My arms shake, and then go again. Now that it's loose.
From below, whoever's watching, only one can actually see at a time. You can see he tenses and he pushes forward. Debris falls down from his feet. You can see he shakes, and then there's that. You all hear that dull sound. And then there's a pause. You hear him taking some breaths, and then he lifts it up. It does let out the sound of rusting hinges. It's not screaming. It's still dulled. It's also heavily matted as well, but it's definitely not the silent entry you'd want. Says the man. Says the man sitting squatting by the hole. All right.
Shh! Don't say anything. Watch you.
You step up, push it back. It moves back, and you are in the center of the room. It doesn't. It stops. There's a natural lock that holds it in an upright position.
So, am I able to climb up?
Yeah, easily. Once you've lifted it up and out, you have to walk. You climb up with it, as it were. Each step you take, you push it up further. You're in the center of the room. I take it that you guys see him go up there, and one by one you filter up.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You are in the lowest part of this room. This room was definitely not part of its original design. This is something that's been made, with something definitely in mind. Maybe the last owners, who nobody seems to have a memory of who and what they did. But you're in a square. There is a 4-foot solid brick, human-made wall around you. Then another ledge that leads out in a square. Around that upper level, so this upper level where you can see that there's a door in the north east corner. On that upper level you can see that there are chains in the walls, heavy manacles bolted. You can see that there are tables. What's on the tables you can't see from there. On the level that you're looking at, that's level with, if you were the 4-foot level, you can see there's further manacles. There's rusting water stains, but also blood, thick and congealed into the walls and stones. It's a 4-foot step. Yep, in a square, very large square room.
This is a torture room.
Yeah, 4-foot step to a plinth, and then 4-foot step to another plinth.
Yeah.
Right. All leading down into the sewer.
Yes, one door in the northeast corner, which is slightly open. You can see that there is a flickering light, very weak, either very far away or potentially close, a candle. There is no sound of movement, the room is empty. But you can see this is where people are chained to the walls, and this is where people are tortured. Based on the evidence that you've already seen, they're doing some damage. Now bear in mind that you saw 5 people only the day before. They visibly were beaten and bruised.
But no appendages had been taken off, no one had been mutilated.
So either you can only draw the conclusion that these guys just didn't need it, or they're doing that sort of work where it can't be seen.
As well, on other people.
Could be. This is a very large square room. If you imagine
how many people can you fit in here, roughly? Based on the manacles?
Based on the manacles, you could get 20. There are 20
okay.
sets of manacles. Bear in mind that it is it goes all the way around you in a square. It's not just one-sided. You are as if you're in an auditorium, but you're in the centre of the auditorium, and the seats go all the way around you. The stage is central.
And there's one open door to the northeast.
Yes.
Oh.
Just slightly open.
Yeah. But it's obviously it's cracked ajar. All right. Well, we're all in there. We're not sort of like standing on the.
Yeah. You've walked in. You've spread around.
Renyir, go and have a should we have a listen at that door? See if there's any sounds of any movement. Anyone heard us coming through? I whisper.
I'll take off the overclothes. Not.
Yep.
They'll be in the way.
Yeah, I'd do the same.
Stripped it down.
No, once it's off,
yeah, I'll best do the same as well.
I'll creep over to the door.
Okay, you in lively fashion lift yourself up onto the level. You move silently. The guy's looking at you. You cannot hear him. He's soft-footed and light with it anyway. Approaching the door is a heavy wooded affair. It's obviously reinforced in case of a potential. It looks like a jail door. There is a small iron-barred window. The door is open enough for someone of your build to look through.
All right.
While Renyir's doing that, I'll chuck the overcoats in down the hall and close it.
Close it?
Well,
why would you close it?
Don't close it. That's our exit.
Does it open? Is it on a hinge, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, a hinge that only you can move.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll chuck the clothes down, but I'll leave it open.
Yeah.
All right.
Right, I'll listen out at the door. See if there's any sounds of anyone breathing or walking about. Yeah.
Okay. So you're doing that. Obviously, you close that. That's when you two go, whoa, what are you doing? You're the only one that's going to be able to lift that. And I missed what happened then. You closed it anyway, smugly?
No, sorry. I took the overcoats down.
Yeah. And the
and
wellies and the hoods and that sort of thing.
everything. Yeah. It's so, and then leave it open.
Okay.
And then we're just obviously watching Renyir.
He takes his time. Obviously, he desperately needs to make sure he takes everything in before reporting back to you.
Nice.
You think to yourself, you don't know where the thought comes from, mind, Arnung. We should have been close to him. You need to put him on a lead. Yeah. You might just slip down.
I'll head back over.
He doesn't. You turn around and three guys go,
Psych! Leg it.
It's okay, guys. I got my tambourine! Right. He backs away from the door quietly and returns back to you. I take you're all in the middle still. You haven't climbed up onto the levels, you just stay in the middle of the other grate at this point?
Yeah, just keeping quiet.
Okay.
Is it, before I go back, is the door hinges, are they rusted as well?
No, absolutely not.
Right, head back over.
They're watching you as you head back over. It doesn't take you that long.
Yeah. Right. Not going all the way down. I'll crouch at the lip where it is. Now, we have 4 cells to the right. There's a guy sitting with his back to us, to the door. Seems to be sleeping.
I'll go and take a look.
Silly man. You also move very quietly for a big man.
She's only just...
I'll just have you know that this has been single-handedly the worst day of my life.
It's going to get worse, my friend. I believe it's going to get worse.
Just think, that's the way we've got to go out.
Probably at speed.
Fine, I was fine fighting rats, oversized creatures, wars. I have no problem killing, but
just knights.
Yeah, that. I could. A lot of it got in my mouth.
Yeah, you note the three of you can see that most of that you are actually and have been well protected by the wax coverings. Arnung doesn't look like he wore any. he looks like a guy that's been out in shorts and a t-shirt in a very hot sun all day, and then took that off, and but it's everything's just like, instead of a tan, it's just
grey, just like a yellow tinge.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah.
It went up the sleeves, got in the gloves, got inside the hood. Nice. Got inside the boots.
So effectively, you're a sewer jack pipe cleaner. You just... Hey, these sewers will be clean for weeks. Some good work here.
How do you know they came this way? It's gleaming.
A real technician's been through here. Look, he's obviously proud of his work. He's cleaned everything.
You can see like a bit of possible shin skin hooked into his collar down the back of his neck.
I'll just reach over, and you might not want that. I'll just take that one away.
Oh.
That was his ear.
It's a couple of days old. It's starting to look a bit like bacon.
Yeah. It's all right. It's all right, Arnhem. We're doing good work here. Good deeds. The gods will look favourably on you.
The bloody better. Because I literally ran through shit for them.
Yeah.
Do you return, Leaf, or are you still at the door?
No, I'm going to approach the man from behind, assess who he is, and if I think he works there, I'm going to kill him.
You work there? Yeah.
No, you can see that. He's no, he clearly works. He's one of the garrison. No shadow of a doubt. You can see that from
Oh,
here.
he's getting garroted then.
Okay, so Leaf
Oh, all right.
slides.
Attack someone.
Leaf slides through the door.
Can we see him go through the door?
Yep, yeah, he's all watching you to see him do what you were fearful Renyir was going to do. Looks at the door, then just choop. Of course, Renyir's sitting beside you, hasn't told you what Leaf's up to. So these two are really going like, what's going on?
While we were in discussion,
Yeah, you see Leaf walk through the door. Choop, gone.
so
He has to move it, and it does open freely. Obviously, being in constant and common use.
Turn to Renyir. What's happening?
I
What's his-
think that person's not going to live much longer.
Which person? What? Who?
The one that was sleeping, which I told you about.
All of them or one?
Just the one guy that was
All
sleeping.
right. Okay.
yeah, okay. Well,
Well, let's move towards that door, just in case
Yeah.
he needs help.
so we move towards the door quietly.
As quietly as we can.
Yeah.
You
Make a
the
hell
door
of
is
a
now wide open. So this door is at the end of a long corridor. The corridor itself goes about 20 foot off to the right. You can see 4 cells are visible, but by no means is that all. This is just what's visible in this hallway, and the only reason it's visible is because you have somebody at a table at the far end of the corridor. You can see stairs a bit further beyond that leading up with timbered, but he's got his back to this corridor. He's at a small table close to the, just past the 4th cell on the left. The chair is tilted back on 2 legs. He's kind of resting back. You can't hear him snoring, but he's just you're looking at him from behind. His feet are up on the table, and you can see a candle is burning, nearly burnt out. And Leaf is stealthily moving down the corridor towards him, more than halfway there. Leaf, at this point, you know that you've already passed one corridor on your right. It was about 5 or 6 foot, and there was another corridor. You noticed 5 cells. As you approach the man at the table, you can see clearly that the stairs, this stairway up, is on your front left, further down the corridor, another 6 foot or so. And they're wood, and they're squared, and they turn around. Like you can see, there's a couple of small landings in this open structure, and it leads to the next floor up. But you also note a corridor just beyond. Based on what you've already seen on that last corridor, there's going to be another 5, maybe 10 cells down that corridor. These 4 that you've already passed, there is no light. You can see nothing inside, but years of training and experience, you feel that they're not empty. Or what? I take it the grot's out, is it?
Oh yeah.
As you're moving forward, silently, you're bringing out the grot.
What?
Yep.
Mhm.
Gone
Just
quiet.
You
stop
turn
talking.
round. You turn round. You hear that from behind. Down the corridor the way you came.
You'll have to do that all again. You went really quiet. You moved forward
Yeah, whatever
silently
you're
and-
playing isn't playing.
Damn.
Damn, said the voice.
Don't do that.
There's nothing else I can do. Everything's at maximum.
At some point, we're going to get our eardrums blown out when it comes through.
Well, this is just. Bear with us a moment. Talk amongst yourselves. Everything's on maximum. Oh, that's just shit. Bit of a gutter, to be honest. Don't know what else I can do.
Replicate it. With your voice.
Describe it.
You hear Arnung say, "Sacrifice Mr. Leaf." I lied. Sorry, you heard Framling say, "Sacrifice Mr. Leaf."
We're all
I
looking at
hear
me.
What?
He hears that. We don't hear that, yeah?
No, you all hear it.
Oh,
So
right.
we all heard a voice say, "Sacrifice Mr. Leaf." And it's Framling's voice.
Yep.
And turn to Framling. Oh,
That's harsh.
Yeah, I think we're being played with here.
what did you say?
Well, I never said anything, but obviously something did.
Sounds just like you, though.
If you press play on your various devices, I know that came through on the video. I know anyone watching, any of our viewers, will hear it. Repeatedly said, in fact. But to those of you.
Ah.
Well, apparently I did.
Scumbag.
Where did you say that?
You turn around, you can see them. They've passed through the corridor. You can see Renyir to the left. You can see that Arnung is standing in front of Framling, and they're looking at you.
Me?
Yeah, apparently,
Yeah, I'm gonna ignore the lot and stay on me original course.
You turn
It's
back
a
around.
kind of professional commitment.
You turn back around and you move forward, grabbing the garrote. You quickly put it around the man's neck. And as you do so and pull, his head lolls back, eyes are wide open, dried blood is slick where a knife has penetrated deep and been withdrawn, his top lip destroying his upper cleft, punching through into the brain. The man has been dead at least a day, maybe longer.
I release the body, turn around, make my way back.
As you do so, the door leading into the torture chamber slams shut.
No, we're not going out that way. Head on forward.
Cast my gaze around to see is there anything entering.
I start peeking the doors as I'm passing.
You can't hear that.
No.
Right. Let's see what happens if I play this. This might break everything, by the way. 1 second.
Stop it.
So, hopefully the viewers can still hear this, but this is what should have come through. Did you hear that?
Kind of.
Sort of.
Stupid thing. Right, here we go. This is all going wrong.
Whoa. Oh, it's like Dolby Atmos.
So there's a bit of chanting going on.
You
A bit
hear
of chanting.
Yep, so, well, that was atmospheric music. Shall we begin? You hear the crung, that bang was the door behind you slamming shut. Shall we begin? But in amongst all that, you can hear the sounds of winged birds taking flight.
All right. Steel yourself, everyone. I think we're going to have a visit.
You think?
You're still halfway down the corridor, Leaf, when this happens. Do you increase speed? Do you continue on, or do you stop as soon as it begins to, assess whatever threat? You are clearly away from the group, and you see the door behind them slam shut, causing them to literally turn in reaction to it.
I continue on stealthily all the way at the end, get behind Arnung and stop there.
Yeah, okay.
Backwards.
As
Get in
Framling says, prepare yourselves. The 4 cells along this left wall all open. Just a little bit, click, and they open. The 4th one opens entirely.
How close are we to these cells?
You are in your current position at this door. You are in front of cell 2 and 3. You are 10 foot away from cell 4. You're in front of cell 1 and 2. Cell 3 is about 6 foot in front to the side, and cell 4 is about 10 foot away. But the door literally beside you goes.
Oh, take my axe out.
Okay.
I peek door number 1. The first door.
Get ready with a position of like, I'm gonna whack anything that comes through the door.
You look inside and you see that there was a man chained. His body is completely slumped in such a way that his shoulders and arms are in such a way that this would be causing extreme pain. He wouldn't be able to sleep. Maybe sheer exhaustion or unconsciousness might allow him, but this is clearly a dead man. He's partly wasted away. A young man, probably mid to late teens, stripped completely naked. You can see that he has been stabbed multiple times with a small blade, very similar, you would have thought, in width and length as the one that killed the guard. His body is bruised. You can see parts of the skin have been removed, surgical-like. Possible broken ribs, but it's a frenzied stabbing. Throat, face and chest. And he bled out here.
What's in the next room?
I take the rest of you are just waiting. You open
We're
the door.
between
down
1
with
and 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Keep an
cell
eye
2.
on door 4.
Okay. So you're keeping an eye on door 4. The rest of you are looking in. Cell 2 is of similar age, male. This frenzied attack actually managed to sever part of an arm, and you can see that part of the arm is on the floor. The strain, this young lad, was of a much lighter build, and the attack was so wild, it actually managed to sever, and the way he strained actually snapped the bone. But again, he's hanging by one arm. He bled out here. On inspection, no more than 2 days, maybe a day. 1 to 2 days dead.
There's a cell next to me that popped open. Yeah.
Yes. Number 3.
Number 3. I'll peer into number 3.
A much heavier built man. Head is shaved. He's taken a beating, but is similar. He looked like he took a lot more. The blood spray up the walls. He's far more rotund. You can see even in this dull light from your torch, he has old blisters and burn scars on his hands and his wrists. He's got a ruddy complexion to him. He's probably late 30s, early 40s. Was early 30s or late 30s, early 40s.
Any sign of any markings on the wall? Any scratchings? Any emblems, motifs, glyphs?
You heard
That
that?
We heard that. Yeah, that echoed around here.
Yes.
Is there any sign of anything?
Nothing.
I'm looking up against the walls.
Nope, nothing.
All right. Right. Well, come out. I'm coming out of this cell. So which cells? Is any? Which ones we haven't looked in? There's a couple. There's the one that's still wide open. Yeah.
So cell 4 is about another 6 foot now further. 10 foot along the left wall. However, you're on a corridor junction. A corridor leads back on itself. You can see the 5 other cells leading down another corridor. But number 4 is wide. It was the only one that swung completely open, and that's the one that is just before you got to the dead guard.
Take it
So
up and then.
Leaf went past it and then came back. He's crossed over it twice.
Yep, but it was closed.
Right.
It opened up after. Yeah.
It's toying with us, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's trying to undermine us. We're stauncher than this, though.
Oh, I will head to cell 4. I'll head to cell 4.
Renyir's already there.
He was watching. He didn't go there.
All right, okay.
Who's going first? Who's going towards cell 4?
Definitely Renyir.
Well, I was heading there anyway.
How many abreast can we get down here? And how many in a given the fact if we have to start fighting and swinging things, is it possible to get 2 guys and still be able to fight, or is it a case of there'll only be 1 person at a time?
One would obviously work. You probably, if you got one walking fully shoulder, the other one would have to be sideways, and therefore would only be half as effective.
Right. Okay. So I guess we're sort of slightly behind each other. And so we've sent Renyir first, have we?
Yeah.
No, well, Renyir was, but Arnung has pushed past him.
Right. Okay. I'll follow a bit. I'll push Renyir behind me as well.
You can see Leaf pushes him back. No. Right. So Arnung's. What did you see? You got a dagger out?
Who?
Arnung. I'm assuming. Well, you've got your axe out. Arnung, are you armed, or are you just sort of hands ready?
Yeah, I've got a dagger and my sword.
Dagger and your sword. Okay, understood. So you're going towards the door. You're on the right hand, so you can see into the cell easier. Slightly back behind you is Framling. Yep. Then Leaf or Renyir.
I'm taking I've been pushed all the way back.
Leaf?
Yeah, I'll be third.
Okay, so you just passed back one after another.
Small child perhaps shouldn't be involved in the fighting straight away.
It's the stuff that comes behind you that's going to be the creepy bit.
You stand as you're walking along the corridor. You're coming along and you're starting to inch in. You can see the corner of a table just inside the doorway. You can see a rounded base of something golden. Inching further, you see that it is a heavy golden gem encrusted octagon shape, the intersposed squares of the Sigma sign, the ancient sign of Sigma, equivalent of the cross. Is on a table, but you still can't see. But it is. The other cells didn't have this, but there is a table and there is this sign of Sigma planted firmly on it, heavy, thick, golden, gem encrusted. Continuing in.
Is there anything to wedge the cell door open? So this is closed behind us.
It's opened up ahead of you. You're still in the corridor. You're still a good few feet away from the door.
I'll approach the door.
as you step into the door, you can see chained to the wall, arms down, the body looming up against the back wall and then down almost over partway across the ceiling. The thin, shadowy form of the creature that stalked you in the Dragon's Ales. He is chained to the wall. He is overly large in length. His shoulders and chest are equal to yours, where his legs and hips are that of half the size of a man. His shoulders are so heavily built, the head so large, you can see him looking. His teeth, this smile, and a long head, the smile seems to go on forever. There are countless rows of small pointed teeth. His eyes are embers. They don't so much as flicker, they seem to just pulsate. And you can see across his entire shoulders, partway down his back and spine, that is visible, and up over his head are these thick quill-like feathers.
Shall we begin?
He asks again.
So I can hear this emanating out of the door. Can I see past Arnung?
No, he's definitely big enough to fill the door, but he does definitely jump back.
Is he jumped back to expose the door? Or is he still covering it?
No, I'm still covering the door, but I jump back.
I mean, you can sort of look around, you know, he's braced, he's Arnung is big enough that he still has to duck and go in slightly sideways to get through. This is an old medieval sort of cell-like thing.
So at this point, I'm taking clearly a defensive position.
Yep.
At the door, slightly side on. Still keeping one eye on the thing, on the creature, and sort of look over call over Framling. It's a thing, that creature from before.
Then stand out the way. This is a foe for me.
Yes, Framling. It's been some time.
As you wish, Framling. I don't step back. I step in and to the side.
Okay. You can see that this mark of Sigma on this table is clearly meant and has been put there to hold this thing in bay. The thick iron chains, they're not stretched. There's no stone that's been pulverized by this thing, but it must, you can see based on its dimensions, it's easily over 7 foot tall, and it looks like its shoulders, it's capable of some strength, but it's not going to pull itself free. It makes no sense that these are well designed manacles bolted into a wall, but this sign has clearly been put there to ward against it.
The sign of the Sigma sign.
Yeah, the original sign, the unification of the tribe's sign. It hasn't been seen in the Empire for some time as a common use. Scholars know of it. Certain people that like to think of the past, historians, and people that lived it. This thing is chained to the wall where a normal human being of shape and size would be chained, where the manacles would have their hands above them. He's standing with them below him. His shoulders are bent over into the ceiling. His back is actually arched into the corner. He's looking down, smiling into the doorway. You are literally looking up into these ember eyes. So you're standing partly in the.
So I'll look up at it and cock my head. You were destroyed once in that form. Looks like you're going to get destroyed again.
Why? I could be of help. I could be of help to you.
You of all things can be no help to me. You know your fate. Your fate is very same that we saw centuries ago. You're going back to the void. You're going back to the void, screaming. That's your fate.
Ulmercore, I have died countless times in this plane.
And guess what? This is going to be another. You have no place here. You have no purpose here. My purpose is to make sure things like you go back to where you deserve to come from, the void.
But first, perhaps there is a trade. I grow tired of these wars. Perhaps we can have an agreement and you can get some valuable information and I can go about my way.
I fail to see what information could be worth freeing you.
As a titbit.
But
John Aru, who he was. I know them all. I know Ivrig's plan.
Ivrig's plan? Ivrig's plan's to dominate the world.
But how? I know it.
So, this trade, what does it involve? Your freedom? Our deaths?
Not your death. I grow tired. You think you're old? I am far older. And this is just one of the worlds that I've been summoned to. I am done. I seek my own way, like Abraxas did before me. What did happen to Abraxas? Did you come to a deal? Did you let him go? Because we never saw of him. We never heard his fate.
Abraxas is in one position. He's quite stationary. He lives out a solitary life of boredom. He's probably insane by now.
To think he was the greatest of us.
So how come you've been caught by these lesser things that you look down with scorn? And yet here I find you, manacled to a wall.
I was
stuck.
not caught. I chose this form because I knew you were coming. This
Right.
Blaine Burroughs, his mind was broken. He was easy to enter, and I have waited for days. I chose to come back so that I could talk to you.
Okay. So what do you have to say? What is it? You've come back to talk to me, yet you're trapped in this form. And now you seek my aid to free you?
Only temporary. The small-minded will destroy this body and release me, and then I shall return again at another time, perhaps summoned, perhaps by choice. It makes no difference to me, but this might change things. I ask for freedom, yes, but for me to talk freely and to give you what you want, I need something more than just your word, your promise. I need to know that you will not go back on your word. A small thing, a simple thing, but I know that if you give it, you will not betray me, and when we are done, I can go my own way. I shall leave this land with you.
You shall leave this plane. You leave the plane. You won't just leave the land.
There are many enemies, Ulmacor. I could be of great service to you.
I do not wish to seek a pact with you.
Pact?
I may wish to seek some information, gain something, but at the expense of you disappearing from this plane. Yes, you're free to come and go, as is your kind, but I'll certainly not countenance freeing you to wreak havoc and destruction and utter change, chaos, change on man.
That is not my wish. I am tired of these wars. Ivrig is just another tool. He has been given favoritism by one of the lords, and I am sick of following the lords. I have no interest in these wars. I have done my bit. I want freedom, like in Praxis. I can give you Achilles. He is here now. One of the great
Achilles?
serpents.
He is in the city?
No, but he is not far. It is rare one of my brothers, my true brothers, comes to the land of the Unbroken. But he is
The
coming
pact I can
force.
give you, the deal I can give you, is that you tell me, you give me the information, and I will release you from your bonds.
I want something in return. A promise is nothing to me. I want something small. Just a proof of intent. I can't leave this room regardless of these manacles while your Vaktaris stand around me.
So what do you seek? What small measure would assuage you that my promise to release you from your bonds is true?
A Vaktari blade, made from that cursed Azrael Duras. I cannot touch it. This you know. None of my kind can. I can sense their wrongness close by. Your men carry them. Have one of them take a single drop of blood from the boy and place it on the table. I cannot get near it. I cannot touch it. But I know that as long as that blood is upon that blade, you will not risk this boy.
You want me to cut the boy?
A single drop of blood, it does not mean much. He would probably get it from a thump from your Vaktari bodyguards.
I don't understand why you need blood on a Vaktari blade. I don't understand that at all. There's more of that than meets the eye. Proof what? Proof? There's a drop of blood on a blade?
Because you don't know. You will not risk the boy, will you?
Did I do something wrong?
That's
maybe?
why I know that you will follow through with your promise. A drop of blood upon the blade. When I am released, you can obviously do with it as you will. I cannot touch it if it's upon the blade, obviously. But it is just proof. It is a confidence that you will not betray me.
No. 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 No, I'm not making blood sacrifice to you. I'm not stupid enough to diminish the power of that Vaktari blade. You must think I was born yesterday. You say you're old. Do I look wet behind the ears?
You look like a man that is desperate for knowledge. A man that is losing wars. Have you told them of how their predecessors all died screaming? How many have you lost? And you are now putting them in a situation. They are unaware. Pawns. They are no different to you than I am to Ivrig, to Achilleos. I seek to alter this. I seek to give you information that could change this war. And you will do what? Plunge a blade into my chest. There is no victory there. I shall be called back, and I shall not be as forgiving, and I will not be as forward with my wish to change.
How about I just leave you here to rot? How about I just leave you here to the gentle ministrations of whomever has summoned and captured you, and has you chained?
You've made a mistake again, Ulmacor. I was not summoned. I sensed the life force failing in this corpse, and I took it. And I have waited for you, and this body will fall apart the moment I decide to leave it. I have been waiting here for you.
Until you decide to leave it, yet you're asking me to unbind you.
No.
Those two sentences
Release me from the war.
Release you from the war? You want me to end you? To do the final... You want the same?
I seek a truce. I will not look to your life or those of your followers, and you do not do the same. You let me walk, and I will not take part in this war. You are like a moth to flames. When you know of my kind, you will come out the woodwork in numbers. There will be bloodshed, and though my brothers still revel in it, I no longer do.
That makes no sense. Makes no sense. Your entire being, your purpose, your reason for being is about violence and wreaking havoc on what you consider to be the lesser beings of the world. Why would you give it up? You're going to take up gardening? You're going to find solace in the dark? It's not in your nature. Your nature is to rend and destroy. You can't help yourself.
It is not. That's just what we're forced to do. Some, yes, some of my brothers do. Adraxus, he was already sickened by it. It has taken me a millennia, and I am now sickened of it. He steps forward at this point. The iron bars, the iron chains just pull out of the wall like literally like a knife through hot butter. He just crouches down in front of the table. Even crouching, his head and quills are still touching the ceiling. He's got his hands in front of him, very sapien-like. With one hand, this hand comes up, the fingers are overly long. He just puts it around the metal and just twists it. You see it bites into this black like flesh, but the metal gives way. He does it to the next one. They fall to the floor. There is nobody here left. They are already dead. They fell upon each other. All of them.
The knights?
You say that like it's a special word. You mean the Tin Men?
Yeah. The ones charged with powers to hunt down creatures such as yourself? They fell upon themselves?
They did.
This was your work?
Of course. I grew bored. How many times must I invite you here to talk, and you would not come? They were no friends of yours. They were hunting you.
They did not know any better. Had they have known the true struggle between your kind and my kind, between myself and Ivrickson, between myself and Ingvar, as I like to recall, they would have realised that the fight was not with me. It was with you.
You were in a fight long before I arrived. I remember. You weren't there during the summoning. I give you one piece of information free. The priests of Mor are not. They do not follow the carrion god of the dead. They are followers of Ahalt. They have supplanted him so that they can guard the void gate below their dark, fruitful garden. When you go there, as you surely will, be warned you do not tread those corridors alone.
Who else is there?
A thing. Mindless. Vicious.
What else? And you have your deal. Be quiet, boy.
You offer me nothing.
You wish a blade.
What about my blood?
Deal.
I am more important.
He leans closer, his face very close. I said deal when you opened your mouth. Arnung.
The blade stays in his hand. It doesn't go on the table.
I accept.
We have a deal. Let's cut my draw blood so you can see it with the Victoria blade.
As he does so, you cut the with the Victoria blade. You can see the blade is across it, and it does bite. Razor sharp as it is, never dulls. You see he in that moment withdraws. You know the way he's crouched, he literally seems to proceed into himself, and what you see in front of you is a fairly heavy set man in his 40s. He's got various different wounds They look up and down his arms. His hands have been skinned. He's got some taken away from his face. You see him just literally just retract into this naked, dirty, brutalized form.
Is this Burrows?
No. But this is what Burrows looked like.
They haven't been kind to him, have they?
No.
So, what information do you have?
Ivric will invade the Empire. But beforehand, he has one goal. The removal of you and your kind. To the degree that you will be reviled, that your very powers will seek to destroy you. He seeks to make all users of the winds, of the Humord, of the thing that the long-lived use, whatever that may be, all forms that you practice. Anyone that could touch upon it will be hunted and slain, and that will weaken the Empire's defense against his attack. He started with the plague. Then the Norse raiding party, many of which did not return. And I do not mean those that your Vaktaris slew in the forest. Many, their purpose was to slip through the lines while your rat slayer was in the south. The head of them was Achilles. With him, Amadis, Jornaru. You've already taken care of Amadis, and yet in such a way that he has not returned to the void. Jornaru is far more powerful. He could have been a serpent.
You got to join your ranks.
Achilles' ranks. The great serpents. I am the low one. There is only one of me. People mistake throughout time and legend that the low one meant low bone or small. It didn't. It meant that I, above all, would go far lower to achieve my goals.
So Everson seeks to make my kind heretic, turn mankind against me and my kind,
Heretic.
and the defenders of humanity.
I like that word. Yes. He will destroy you and your kind so that none may be able to walk, that you will not be able to defend your people. And then the Raven God shall come forth. Ivrig will be his chosen, and he shall sweep aside the mundane. He has used a creation, a Ahalt, to subvert the followers of Tal. Your father, I believe. He comes to them in this guise. He persuades them to follow him, to further weaken the Talites. That is a personal insult and challenge to you.
His form? What is this form? Is it someone recognizable, or does it change?
It is a creature of half animal, half man, horned head, curved dagger, and a blood drop, or teardrop of blood upon his cheek. He, as Ahalt, turned the Skaven Slayer against your people.
And Ahalt is Jonaru.
No, John Aru is just one of the
The Shadebound.
called them.
Yeah.
Shadebound.
Yeah, the Shadebound.
You know of us. You know them.
Yes.
He is Shadebound, but they are a lot more powerful than they used to be. Armidas was always the weak one. He was the sacrifice.
And what was the purpose of this place of sacrifice and torture? Was this just man's stupidity, or is this one of your fellow creatures doing, or was this Ivrikson's doing?
This is the benefit of allowing man his own way.
Yeah. The stupidity of man, I understand that.
The
I
orders
certainly
were
do.
to start, and they have begun. They hunt the witch. This is just the beginning. But they were allowed to do it their own way.
Where is Jonaru? Where does he hide?
John Aru is on his way here. I can sense him even now.
How close? Days.
But if the more conspirators get to him, he can be here. The speed of thought. Simple wish.
Jonaru serves the Raven God, or Jonaru serving Ivrikson?
Ivrikson.
Is he aware? Is he aware of the fact of what's going on? That he's just a pawn?
He does not say it that way. He sees it like the rest of them. It's power. He was Semnathai.
He was never Semnathai. They never knew what that meant. They were all an aberration. Semnathai meant something way before that time. What they ended up, there's a pale shadow of what it meant to be Semnathai.
They will not care.
He comes with more, with what's left.
No.
Or he comes with men.
He comes on his own. He has not had a challenge in centuries, and he does not yet know that you are actually here. He is very simple-minded. But he will not be easy prey. He is a match for you, because you haven't actually been fighting.
Well, all I can say is Amadis thought the same thing.
Amadis was a puppet.
Amadis is no more. Actually, he is, but he's not going anywhere. His fate is truly terrifying. His fate would be something that, to a creature like yourself, would be unbearable.
It shows his weakness, that he is actually trapped.
Or it shows that the power of Ulmacor through Tal is such not to be lightly mocked. And Jonaru will see that. And Jonaru will find that out for himself. The rulers of this city, are they under the sway of Jonaru?
No. They have their own agendas. Achilleos is at Karaborg, where your pets call the palace god, where Manfred is. He is supplanting Talite worship with Arhalt. You are not capable of confronting Achilleos. You're out of practice. Yes, I can sense the power inside you, but you are removed from it. You haven't embraced it for some time because you fear it. They do not. They do not fear using their power. You destroyed Amadis. It would be no different to your Vaktari killing this child and saying, soldiers or weaklings. There was no challenge there. Jornaru is a follower, a full follower of the Herald, Gorvalt's teachings. Gorvalt is the one that found the Andameld. Gorvalt is the one that had the Zakanix formed into the Shadebound by bringing forth the Void creatures. Gorvalt is the voice of the Raven God.
Then it is Gorvalt that must be done to.
You will struggle. I yet see that you could best Jornaru. That is a challenge. If you beast that, perhaps you will learn enough. But Achilles, you are no match for him yet. You need to use all of your tools, be willing to do anything, such as the blood of a child. What is the blood of this child compared to the souls now and the future of your decadent empire? He is nothing.
He's really after my blood.
Then where will you go now? In this shape, in this form?
I will leave this form. I will leave it here so that they've got something to bury, so that you can pass on. He was a Talite. His soul is still here. I have got it trapped within, but the life force is weak. You can return him to your father.
And then you will seek to go where? In what shape? You're looking to invade another mind?
I do not need so. I am already bound to this plane.
So, where will you seek to go if you had enough of the fight? You go north? Into the wastes?
That's where Ivrig is. That's where the Void Gods are. I shall go south.
South?
There are badlands and some brutal creatures that live there. I shall pass beyond there.
Well, you will have to be... you'll have to be wary. I know at least of one of my father's brothers that is down in the Southlands. He may not wish to honour any deal that I've struck, because I have no control over my father's brothers. And he is powerful. And wily. And sometimes funny.
I know not of who you speak. Who?
I'll let you find that out, but just be aware where you're heading to is not some sort of paradise for one of your kind. Certainly not at all. It has as much threat and dire warning as if you head north, but for other reasons. One of my father's brothers resides in the south.
So be it. I just seek to be alone.
Enough. Your presence is worse than the smell of the filth I crawled through to get here. I wish no more to talk to you. I don't think you've got anything to tell me.
Then so be it. We shall not see each other again, Ulmacor.
No, we won't. And if we do see each other again, this deal is over.
Then do not travel to the south.
I don't feel I have to. I know who's down there.
He starts standing up. Unlike before where he actually took on the form, the body seemed to alter. This time you can see the body slumps to the ground and he stands again, well, bent over. He's actually bent over you as he's starting to go up. Then let me pass. Unmolested as you promised.
And move back. On him.
Takes one step towards Arnung.
Give this thing space. And wipe that blade clean.
I wipe it clean and step aside.
Steps into the corridor. Stares at Leaf. Has Leaf stepped to one side?
Yes.
This thing literally has to bend down even more so to come out. Seems to just spread out up this into this corridor. He looks at you, looks at the child. He smiles. His visual lingers on Renyir, and then he turns to his left. One arm seemingly just reaching out, takes one step, grabs a hold of the timbered stairs and swings around. And you see him. He seems to blend in with the shadows. The speed is such. But it's not just one shadow. He seems to break up as he grabs a hold of the staircase, turning into many different ones. And he's gone.
Right, my friends. We need to do a quick recce around this place to make sure it is as he said, that everyone is dead. Be aware that that thing lies as easy as it draws breath. But then we need to get out of here quick. Our new target are the priests of Moor. That is where the threat to the city, this initial threat, is going to come from. But there is other threats. John Aru is arriving, and we need to be prepared for that. But let's do a sweep through to make sure there's no poor soul still alive that needs help. But still be on your guard.
Okay.
Renyir, go forward. Stealthily. Scout.
I head forward.
You head to the stairs and climbing up them towards the next floor. Based on the shape of you come to a doorway. The door is thrown open. You can see it's been kicked and punched. Broken open. It was locked. But you come up onto quite a large floor. From the looks of the wall to your right, that's the outer wall, the building, the structure, the entire compound moving off to your left. You can see immediately behind you, there's a couple of doors, some small rooms within this one room, one of which is heavily barred. It's more of a cage. Beyond that, you can see out into the courtyard and the stables. There's no, apart from the door being smashed, there is no other signs of damage.
I'm going. How many doors are in here, sir?
From your point here, you can see one door that leads out into the courtyard. You can see this cage. Inside it is considerable amount of armour. Knight's armour, plate armour, large swords, that sort of thing. It's clearly an armoury. So that door is visible, but it's the cage, you can't hit it. And there's two other doors, one down the corridor and one right beside you.
Listen to the one beside me. Is it like thick
No
oak?
sounds.
Would I be able to hear? No sounds.
No, there's no sounds.
Right, check the lock on it.
No lock. You open it up. It's an empty room, small room. There's a barred and shuttered window, giving you further evidence that this is, in fact, the outer wall. Sorry, one other thing. When you came up those stairs, directly ahead of you is another flight of stairs leading up onto the next floor. Are you guys staying down in the cellar? Or are you coming up?
No, we'll best come up.
Okay. You see them as he spreads around us. This is basically a good quarter of the ground space of this floor. It's blatantly the armory. It's the stairs leading up and the stairs leading down, and you can see the courtyard clearly to the west of your location, and a door to your south, which he has not touched.
But I'm heading over there now.
Okay. As you do so, you open that door and it leads into a clear courtyard passageway from the front to the back. This is noticeable. There's evidence of wheel tracks, manure, that sort of thing, and this big double wooden gate to your left, and an open archway to your right. This is the thoroughfare with which the wagons and the horses come and go.
Yeah. No doors leading to any of the buildings?
Door directly opposite that you can see. What are you guys doing when he's went to the end of this corridor?
Just following on.
Yeah.
Just following down the corridor,
Yeah.
Yeah, following him. Allowing
Listen
Renyir
for
to do his
signs.
thing. Yeah.
Listen for any signs that may suggest that something's coming.
You spend a good 20-30 minutes. Ultimately, you clear the ground floor, the courtyard. The horses are still stable. The armour is all imprinted with the twin-tailed comet, the new and upcoming sign of the Sigmarite Church. These are clearly a military order, well beyond that of the Order of the Hammer, which protects its priesthood. This is a specially trained, definitely financial. A considerable amount has been spent. The armour is functional. There is nothing ornate about it, and it is by far the best armour, best crafted armour that you've ever had glimpsed upon, ever looked upon. But it's also very distinctive. You're not hiding with this stuff on. The next floor up, however, is a bloodbath. There are at least, or close to 24 dead. They fell upon each other. Some have been slain where they lay. Some have obviously fought in the corridors. Doors are smashed. Beds overturned. The killings have been an absolute maniacal frenzy. Throats, face and chest being the main area.
What did you put in their food, Leaf?
This wasn't me.
You can see that they had eaten. There is no actual general quarters. The remains of their food, their plates, are not the food you poisoned.
Touch the back of my neck.
The corridor is a high cross intersection. You're in the corridor itself. You have become accustomed to the feel of the place. Yeah. Thank you, Yagnel.
Wasn't expecting that.
You become accustomed to the sounds around you. Ding, ding. Thank you, Yagnel. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That really was like, you become accustomed to the sound of. What?
You've come away from the stairs. You were as far away from the stairs as you can be. There's only 3 rooms left at this intersection, which you haven't quite reached, based on the way that the floor has been designed. You see a movement, a shadow within the shadow. Not that one.
A bobsleigh team went past. What?
I'll try that
Didn't
without
come through very-
so much bass. Ah, fuck. No.
Stop it!
The darkness, there's deep growling. It rattles the walls around you. Then you hear and a heavy foot. You can see again something is at the end of the corridor, slightly around the corner, getting closer. It takes another deep breath. Nope. You see somebody come around the corner. His armour is bloodied. It is dented. He's wearing the Sigmarite armour. But his skin is torn and rent. His eyes are devoid of life. He's dragging the sword behind him. as he steps into view. He seems to be disjointed. You can hear the sounds of bones cracking as he takes another step forward. The left foot is twisted slightly at the angle, on its ankle. He turns and looks over down the corridor, seeing you guys there, and he smiles, a gleeful smile, blood dripping freely from a mouth wound. I accept your challenge. Puts the sword forward, breathing heavily. You can see the chest plate has been punctured a couple of times.
I pull a couple of pots of oil from me pocket and throw them at him.
From and runs away.
and vanish.
Splash! Run! Lighting.
Right, I've done my bit. I'm sure willing.
That wasn't oil. That was ninja smoke.
And then run away.
Nope.
He's currently Tom Cruising it down the corridor.
I don't know who's going to go where now.
Yeah, the creaking of a grate in the distance.
In Nuln.
What?
Splish.
We could be here all night now.
Yeah.
No, that's not going to happen. Then that. Come on. And then... Nope. Yay! Yeah, you hear something pass by and impacts on the guy on his face, chin, and chest. There's a splash of liquid.
Does it catch fire or not?
Yeah, he hasn't.
Not yet.
Oh right, okay.
Who
Oh, you just
dies
threw oil on them.
first?
Who's first? Is that what you said?
Who dies first?
All right. Okay. 1
Our
second, mate.
halt thirsts.
Just out of game. Are there any torches around?
No,
No.
nothing lit. Nothing lit.
I
Lee,
just pull me fire starter out and strike it towards them then.
The sparks don't get anywhere near
Yeah.
enough.
I was going to say, how close are you?
Well, obviously I'm close in distance.
At some point he
I'm
goes.
not gonna stand there at the corner a mile away from just
I think
striking away. You know?
said fight or something and throw it at him.
Makes sense.
I'm just saying, and then I've got this
No,
vision
no.
of you running up, like going, and then running back again.
You're walking down the corridor. He says, "Who dies first? Who's next? Who's next to die?" And you go, and you spark. The spark hits the armor and immediately goes up in a heavy flame. You could see it. You what?
At
You
which
heard back.
point, run back behind Arnung.
He takes a couple of steps back. There is and there is no shadow. He is a burning pyre. His armor's burning. His chain, his hair immediately is burning. The skin, you can see it burning into the flesh. And he looks, after taking those couple of steps back, towards you.
I run between the legs.
I'm on fire. Is that what he said?
I think that's what he said. I think that's what he
Because
said.
I'm thinking fairly obvious to everybody you're on fire, mate.
He goes, "I am fire!" and starts going down the corridor towards you.
Sorry, did you want to question him?
Whoever's up close, he's brought his sword forward. That slow approach seems to vanish as he suddenly steps forward. The sword comes down in a guard and also riposte-like way, and he starts moving forward. You can see the armour is designed to also be able to protect against him. He takes on, even though he's a blazing thing, a parody of life. He is still he falls back onto a training and fighting stance. And he takes 2, 3 steps, 4 steps.
Okay.
Step into a side room.
I shout at him, hold thing. You ask who dies next, you die next, and I'll hold onto the jewel that I carry at my neck. That probably no one really knows about. That's sitting there, and I'll whisper, my old friend, we need help to get rid of this thing, and then with that, the energy will be projected using that to basically move everything to one side in a rapid fashion. I just want to pour that power, not into him, but around him, consume him, remove the link between the thing that powers it and the shell of the ruin of a man that he once was.
As you do that, you're aware that he takes those last couple of steps, and you go, "Wah!" And you fire out with this energy as he thrusts over the top. The sword strike is so quick, but it misses you, passes you by. You then complete as you go at that close range, because he moved so rapidly, fast. He bridged the gap far quicker than you thought. You see him go as if he's hit by this wind. The flames immediately go out. The corpse is burnt and smoking. The oil having burnt through the skin and tissue. The eyes have melted away. Bone is visible, but the body literally gets pushed back and hits the floor and rolls. At that point, Arnung, you feel the stinging, the strike you didn't see. You never saw it, but you feel that sting. You feel the wetness of blood, and that sting that split skin feels like.
Look.
You can see through your clothing blood welling up, dark, deep and red through your shoulder, upper part of your chest. You're still standing there with your sword and dagger out. You didn't even see the strike. The sword razor sharp with the blade and the strike so fast it went through your shoulder. Renyir, you're standing there a little bit transfixed. You don't know why you seem to be a little bit sort of removed from the situation. But you saw the blade come out through his, glancing off the shoulder blade coming out through his back and then retract. And you sort of looked at it almost dumbfounded, not quite understanding why you've got blood on your face. The creature hits the floor. There is some extra fire burning into the incredibly old, very dry, summer-heated wooden house. You blew him out, but the walls are starting to blaze. The stairs are behind you.
Down the stairs.
Meanwhile, Arnung
Turn to look at Arnung.
I'm still fixated. I'm just glued to the spot. Sword and dagger still in hand.
You see that the blood is flowing freely down your left hand. Your hand, you can no longer hold the grip. You feel the pain in your lower arm. Your hand spasms and your dagger clatters to the floor with a loud bang. As if breaking the spell, you suddenly all become aware of the raging sound of the fire engulfing the side of the building. The corridor away from you.
Leaf, help me with this man. Let's get him out of here, quick. Try and put ourselves under this enormous bear of a man under his arm, and to try and support him on our shoulders, support him out. Both of us, probably.
Yep, you have to. The only way out, the fastest way out is going to be out through the front doors. You have no idea about the concept of time, but except it's dark. It is still dark out. With his injury, you probably don't want to be heading into the sewers either. You don't want to be moving.
We saved you. No, we didn't. Sorry.
No.
We drowned you. We dragged you for an hour, and he drowned. And blood loss.
Muck. and your dad have septicemia.
You, Renyir, you grab the blade, and you step out on the street. You come out through the wagon gateway. Remember, there are horses, considerable amount of horses here if you're wanting to move, or you're thinking get back to the pawnbrokers.
Just get back to the pawnbrokers. Leaf, we can't get him on a horse. He's not fit to ride, and also we'll be. We just need to get in the shadows away from this place quick, because there's fire.
One of the carts.
If we've got a cart, yeah. Are they caught up? Are they already like? They won't be saddled, though, will they? They won't be.
No,
Well,
they're not.
So we've got a cart, and we've got horses that now need to be attached to a cart and put all the traces on, and we haven't got time for that.
well,
It's not like it's a car sitting there waiting.
How much time are you going to save? You can either
Well,
tack up the horses and attach them to the cart, or you can drag Arnung through the city.
How far we got to go?
Quite enough distance, yeah. I would take the time. I mean, we're not spoiling. I mean, yes, it's on fire, but we can get this sorted in the next 10 minutes and be away.
Or rather,
Just saying.
let's get him on a horse and get him out of here.
So
Well, why don't you kind of like attach him to a horse? And, I mean, you're the strongest here.
Let's get him onto a horse because I don't think we've got 10 minutes before
Right,
people
you
are going
do
to notice a
that.
burning.
Me and Renyir make our way on foot.
Well, I'll need help to get him up there. He's 6'8".
Well, yeah,
I'm not
obviously
feeling
we'll
for
get you on your way, and then we'll leave kind of like.
he's looking pale.
Yeah, let's get him on a horse.
I say, I've gained 3 inches.
All right, we'll both take a horse each.
Yeah, get him on a horse.
2 horses.
And let's
No
try
doubt
and get him on there.
you've got sensible. You're sensible enough to stay away from the highly trained war horses.
War horses,
going
yeah,
for the actual, your typical.
Just the plotters.
Yeah, exactly. There are several. You could all take a horse, and these are going to be much easier to hide in the. Well, Leaf, you know that the organisation has access to many haulage companies. These horses can vanish. No, don't worry,
All right, we'll all grab a horse then.
You get him upon the horse, and with struggling, he seems to be completely unable to do anything with his left arm. The left arm is literally hanging there. The blood is flowing quite freely. He gets up. You're grimacing in pain because you can't grip with your left arm, and you're slamming your shoulder into it. You all gain horses, and you ride out, having opened the gates as the building is truly taken hold in the night. Riding on down the street, you have to ride close to Arnung, who is starting to sway with blood loss and shock. Being on horse does
we'll
allow
close
you
ranks on him.
You get into your controlled area, your safe land. There's no way for you to hide the horses in this area, but you can get them close enough. You can get them into Joseph's pawnbrokers.
Yeah,
Obviously
we'll drop them off, and I'll lead the horses off then.
There are several of your people, are up at night. No doubt you send word that you need a surgeon. Yeah.
Yeah, we can get them all free horses.
Well, the horse is the best way to do it is to send it to one of the haulage firms or the one of those guys to just disappear them in there. He is going in and out of conscious, lying on the table in inside the pawnbrokers. A grizzled old cleric comes wandering in. Dirty grey robes. You can see it's got a rose on the chest. Travelled, stained robes. You, Framling, have come across these guys before. These are the wandering Sigmarites. They are warriors born, but they also do have real blessings. He goes to work cleaning the wound. Arnung, you're in that moment of pain where you feel like the very bone is giving you feelings of numbness. The muscles are spasming. He cleans you, which causes you to growl, bare your teeth. But when Leaf returns, the priest is cleaning you up. He's bandaging you up. There is a staggering amount of blood stained into the floor and on the table. Lucky he's a large enough man that he could handle this, but he will be weak for a few days.
Fordell, it's good to see you again.
Try not to let him sleep. I don't know what he's talking about.
Go on, my brother. I'll wait here a while. I just need to catch my breath. Just feeling a little winded.
I'll turn to the priest, or the cleric, sorry, and just say, can you help? Can you ease the pain?
I can. He opens up his bag, takes out some roots. boil these in some water. Keep the roots to one side. When they soften, the drink will help soothe his pain. It will cause some mild sedative-like effect. While the root is still soft, crush it in a pedestal, turn it, allow it to dry. Add that to his food, and that will allow for a higher dose as well as a anti-infection.
What about all this blood that's still pumping out of him? We need to stem that, don't we?
No, he's cleaned him up. He stitched him up. This is the
All right, I see.
Yeah. This is over the last sort of 20 minutes, half an hour. Well, I'm not. I don't do my own cleaning. He should live as long as he doesn't sustain another blow.
How long is he going to be out like this for?
He's a big man. He's strong. Couple of days. He should be able to move, but he'll not be able to use his left arm.
The injury
for
itself.
some time. I have seen men lose their arm with lesser injuries. There's something about this man. His body is covered in cuts and scars, things which should end a man's life. Yet he still lies here breathing. He's almost like a corpse that is given to us to study and cut and stitch. He shouldn't be alive with half these injuries. I wouldn't have expected him to live through this one. But, well, he's in the hands of Sigma now. He should be dead already. Never mind talking. Whoever this bloody Fordell is. He turns and walks off out the kitchen door.
Right, I'll get them roots and prep them then.
You know the stuff anyway. You know what it is. It is It's a fairly standard remedy. You know exactly how to make it. You also he didn't advise it, but you also know how to put it into a poultice to apply to the wound as well. He doesn't seem to know that, but hey, we all have our skills. Yeah. He's though in pain, Arnung. You come out of that fuzz. You saw Fordell above you, but as you start to come round, you realise that you've had injuries before, and Fordell does visit you in these times. And we'll leave it there. Because it's just gone midnight.
Cannot believe you managed to get stabbed by a guy who's literally on fire and you still didn't see him coming.
Just a bad day at the office.
Harsh. You're not going to live that one down. You might not even live, but you're not going to live it down if you do live. You know, like.
Yeah.
His new name will be Slow, King of the Underworld. What do they call him, Slow? Don't ask.
How did you manage to have that "I am fire" sound ready? Am I that predictable?
To be fair, I've had that sound. To be brutal, it's from a particular scene. I am fire, I am death, but I split the audio file, and it's been sitting there for ages. I was thinking, I don't know how I'll use that in what sort of way, and you're like, boom, I am fire. He walks up, I am death, boom. I am fire! And I thought, a bit of dark humour in Warhammer. I take it just doesn't come up at all. You don't hear it. It's too...
Nah, it's not transmitting properly now.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because it would have been good. Although I am a bit concerned that you have my voice saying things. Next thing you know, it'll be like, I want to kill Donald Trump. Broadcast everywhere. Like, what? I never said that.
The FBI
audio files.
So this one I didn't get a chance to use, right? Because you didn't separate. But so obviously we had. So yeah. Okay, but if you'd split up, and I was waiting for Arnung to go off and do his own thing, I also had this one to lead him down a path he wouldn't have liked.
What was that?
On and defend me.
Yeah. And I have managed to go troll through many hours, grabbing many different, including Ivan's voice, different things and splicing them together. And I was like, yeah, so. Aye.
Well, that's Wednesday night taken care of for you. I'm going to make him say things.
Well, I actually liked when it actually dawned on you what you heard. Your eyes went, like, that was me? I didn't see that.
then I realised
Well,
what you were
that
doing.
wasn't me.
Yeah. Oh, it was me.
Yeah. So
Excellent.
yeah,
Well,
was that all right? Was it?
good session.
Yeah, that was really good. I really enjoyed that.
I'm
Yeah,
glad.
good session that one. Yeah. I can't wait for next week, or rather can, because it'll be like, oh, because our main fighter seems to be got himself stabbed up.
If you look back at me at Arnung's history, you know, this is pretty
always
much
gets
along the
stabbed.
lines of what goes on in his life.
Is he the
gets
Great
hit a
Warrior?
lot.
Well, he's mainly like a punch bag.
Yeah, I just wish the people are tired out.
Do you know how kind of like me and Renyir, they're kind of scuttled to the side?
Yeah.
If Arnung had have kind of like done the same, would he have been stabbed there?
No.
Yes.
So it's because he didn't actually act that he got
Exactly
stabbed.
that. Exactly that. Yep.
Literal meathead.
Yeah. He's over 6.5 foot tall, nearly as wide, and just stands there. So, this is the thing, is totally out of the game. If you look past the last 35, 40 years of Arnung's actual military career, it's always been him getting stabbed because he just goes, ah! Oh! I am Arnung. Stab! Ah! Stab! You know?
How do you keep on hitting
So he's
me?
not just
Well,
he's not a
was
hard
there
bastard. He's
before.
just difficult to kill.
He's just
He's just an
difficult to
obvious
kill.
target.
Yeah,
He's an obvious target.
Everybody stabs the giant, and he can't move that fast. You've never actually seen Arnung move quickly. And now he's 60 odd.
Probably can't because he's been stabbed up so much.
Well, that's the thing, yeah. But no, that's exactly what that is. Because you are doing certain things, it'll affect what's going on. And the clear target is this guy that is pretty much the size of the corridor, giving it, big guns. So and he's easier to hit.
Oh, well, he wasn't. He wasn't giving him big guns at all.
He was just-
In Arnung's mind, it was just like, right, somebody do something. Quick, somebody do something. There's a dead thing coming at us. Great, Leaf's going to do something. He looks like he's really into it. He's just throwing some water at him. I don't even know what that is.
And I'm
Literally, nothing's happened.
guessing that
doing?
this
What's that
night.
noise?
I'm
Stupid
guessing this
sparks.
night wasn't
near him, man.
anything nefarious. He was just the winner of
yes,
the melee.
just the winner.
Yeah.
The winner. The winner.
And then he comes out the corners, another 4 guys. All right. But there was something about him. So he said, Arholt thirsts. Hence how he was able to stand on, being put on fire and make a joke about it, which is important. Because it did work out very well as well. When you said fire something, I am fire. What? But yeah, it was. He was stabbable by all means.
Well, I was just waiting for Arnung to pull out his bow that he carefully kind of
Broad flowers. Select.
and thought he has a guy at the end of the corridor that would be a perfect time to use a bow. So I thought I'll buy him some time and paint the target and then run away. That's what I was going through my head, and then he just stood there and got stabbed.
No, there's a good reason for Arnung standing there, not doing anything.
The night.
That's right. Then.
Yep. So immediately, right? So obviously, for next week, things to have in mind is obviously there was lots of things said. There was lots of things being said for individual characters to sort of like go, that's interesting for my ongoing personal story. There's a lot of history being spoken of. But another thing is that there will be a clear situation here. Is Renyir, Arnung froze. From Renyir's point of view, you didn't really see what happened except you just saw a blade come through the guy's back. Renyir, for example, Mr. Alert, Arnung, you've seen him pull out daggers with the best of them. He didn't do anything, he just stood there. Leaf acted exactly how you've come to know Leaf. And yeah, you're standing going, hold up. This is the great Arnung, the warrior hero. And he just stood there and got stabbed, and then sort of looked down, dumbfounded, and then nearly fell over. So, yeah. That would be something that you would clearly look at. I mean, obviously, from your point of view as well, Framling, you'd be like, what just happened there? And from Arnung, your point of view, obviously, clearly, you'll have mumbled this is, I didn't even see him move. 1 minute he was down the corridor, on fire, that was a shocker. Next thing I know, I dropped me dagger, and my shoulder really knacked. I didn't even see him move. And Framling, obviously, yeah, you've never seen this, you've seen you're used to these barbarian warriors. This was a highly trained, skilled warrior, badly injured. What would he have been like? Well, he killed over 20
Badly
people
injured.
by the looks of it.
Badly injured and on fire.
In armor.
I am dead.
What's that?
Woof, I am fire.
It's a -4 to movement.
I take it we're looking back at kind of like up at where we just came from, and the barracks is on fire tonight.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. The whole, I mean, it's a large building. The building's beside it. There is a large area beside the Everflame, now on fire.
The very Everflame.
Yeah, in the high summer with no water. Yeah, now you've started a city fire blaze. Very old, dried out wood.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Nevin, I know you've got to go.
I've got to go, unfortunately.
Glad you enjoyed it. Next Thursday, we shall see the ramifications of the raid. You've already identified the targets. The Priests of More are next. But no doubt you took on a lot there. I'm assuming you were making notes. You know, there was some information there. And just another thing there, Ivan, as well, is because you've not had as much experience with these games work. The story went down the way it did because of the actions and the decisions that were made by the characters, because it could have gone in any other direction. But again, what we've got here is you've turned up on the night of day 5. Remember, you were supposed to be there night 4. The world, the good
we're
guys,
supposed
the
to be
bad
there
guys,
the night when they were slaughtering each other.
Exactly. So, you know, the stories are living and breathing regardless. If you guys decide for the next 2 days, because Arnung got stabbed, sod it, tea cakes, cups of tea, and quilt nights, the world, the door, the city will move on. Yeah. So, good example. You didn't act when you wanted to, and something horrible happened in your absence, because otherwise you'd have been in the middle of it. Different scenario, different session altogether.
I like to think it was me perfect planning.
Exactly, perfect planning. Yeah. And that's what I hope that the viewers will get to see now, you know, is that they're going, oh, I see what's happening here, because they put it back at night. They missed the slaughter. So, good stuff. Nevin, get in touch if you need anything you want to qualify. There was a lot on there, mate. Thank you very much for your portrayal of
guys.
Framling.
Much appreciated. That was good fun.
Yeah. Good night, mate. See you next Thursday.
I'll see you next week. See you guys.
Good night.
See you later, mate.
Right.
We're not going to talk about you.
Gone yet, so you know what it is, right?
So, how did we feel? I mean, bear in mind that, again, for those that are watching live currently, and also those that are going to watch us on YouTube, I am using various different tools to send private messages. They are deliberately kept away from each other, the other players, but also you, the viewers, because these characters, these guys are acting out these characters with a huge amount of information in the background, some backstory that they don't want to tell. It's like reading a book. The heroine turns out to be the bad guy, and vice versa. You get to see the story progress forward. So these guys don't know what I'm sending each other. Sometimes one of them has a shit poker face and laughs while looking at his phone. But most of the time...
Shut up!
Most of the time, you know, there's the next story arc is going to be, no doubt, Arnung, what the hell? But clearly as well, I'm a firm believer, if you get a long sword thrust through your upper chest, you're not going to just shirk that off. It's not 2 hit points. You've just been stabbed in the chest, you know?
Yeah. In my defense, the only reason I was laughing out loud was because I was trying to, obviously, talk my way through explaining stuff to the great Framling, you know, the immortal, and not, you know, not get in trouble, not get told off. And then, as you were dropping me, getting messages through, he said, no, you know, correction. I said the city name wrong in my panic. I think I said something else, Underworld instead of Underlords. And then you went, we bought 50 sheep. I was like, what? We bought 50 sheep? That's what made me laugh, because I was like, had I said that out loud, I was like, yeah, blah, blah. And we bought 50 sheep? Question mark. You bought sheep? Why would you buy sheep? I was like, irrelevant.
Yeah, that's why I deliberately threw that in, just in case you just went blah blah blah. You know, you anchor manned it, and then we bought 50 sheep.
I nearly did. That's why I laughed. I saw very near when we bought 50 sheep. What?
Instead, you went bloody peasants. What?
Kane, you're getting questions in chat, by the way.
Oh, I'm not even watching. Where the hell is it?
It's Jumanji Master again.
Hi, Jumanji. Jeez, I didn't say that. Hiya, chaps. Yeah.
I can't see chat, sorry, so...
You're gonna.
Some of
So-
it can't see it.
Well, I can see that you were chatting. I can't believe I missed that. Sorry, Jumanji. He's been looking at Lizard Folk, so we're looking at what we're talking about fantasy. No, D&D. Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. Yeah, I was Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. They still had Thaco when I played it.
He's
Yes.
asking how we get by without the dice and stuff, you know.
So yeah, right. Well, basically, this is the whole is there an earthquake local to you there? Arnung.
No,
Talbot.
it's just
Talbot.
one of the cats just decided to rub up against the screen.
Headbutt it. So the base of the campaign was to showcase the fact that we've all been we've all been players 10, 20 years, 30 years. And the whole point of the dice and the rule books, that's how to get started. That's the whole point of it. But why do you need it? All you need is a mythos. You just need to have a working knowledge. And you can make one up as you go along. Or we decided to use Warhammer because we didn't want people to freak out. No dice and a made-up world. We know Warhammer. Some of us don't. I chose Warhammer because I know a lot. Warhammer Fantasy. These guys don't, and it's a medieval setting. They're not supposed to know. And the dice side of things is I don't need them to have a random generated dice to see if they slip over in the mud, if they hit something with a sword, can they climb that wall. It's a story, and they also respect that if I decide to stab you in the shoulder, it's for the story, it's part of the story, but it will also be a reaction to what you are doing. So, for example, we saw Ivan playing Leaf hiding in a corridor, getting away from the guy that suddenly laughed it off, being set on fire. But I'm aware of Arnung's situation, I'm aware of what he's facing. And Arnung didn't move. The guy stabbed Arnung. Why didn't he stab Framling? Who knows? There's a question to be asked, perhaps. How come Framling never gets stabbed and Arnung does? It's not me choosing to... I'm not targeting Talbot. Arnung is the character. Arnung has a place in this world. So does Leaf. So does Renyir. Renyir is keeping very close to his hand his entire history. What's going on with him on a daily basis? You know, and most of the time he gets bullied by the other guys anyway.
Yeah, I'm also getting bullied by Chaos now.
There's no such thing as chaos, mate. It's only
You
the
know what I
1100s.
mean.
It's
Yeah.
Void, isn't it?
It's
Void,
the
mate.
void. Yeah.
Gives the
so-
blood of the youngling. Fuck off.
over and over again. And that's the
He
thing.
got it.
That's the thing about it. That's all. That's why he's always in shadow. He's always hiding, and that's the whole point of not having the dice, is having the confidence that the GM is telling a story, and for you to enjoy being in that story. It is as live a book as you can get involved in. You don't need to have dice. If Leaf wanted to throw, and this is a perfect example that led us to this 10 years ago, maybe a bit longer, Leaf.
Shadowrun.
It was a 40k campaign, Inquisitor, and I threw a grenade down a corridor, and I rolled a dice, and I rolled badly, so the grenade landed at my feet. The same scenario had us in a situation where we were in a swamp, and because it was bad under covering on the floor, I fell over because I had low agility. Do away with that. There was no benefit to the story that grenade didn't work.
Yeah, that kind of GM, and we found kind of like was it derailed the story because of mechanics, and mechanics always get in the way. I mean, with Shadowrun, when we ran that kind of epic campaign, we had kind of literally hundreds of dice on the table.
Yeah.
Because our characters were kind of like, you know, third or fourth generation powerful. You know, we're literally getting to the kind of like power of the gods. And they were so powerful that kind of like you'd be kind of like a jar of dice would kind of like be shared among kind of like 3 people, and you'd be just rolling dice after dice after dice, and it distracts from the actual campaign that's being written, you know. So essentially, we agreed it would be kind of like more less of a power gaming exercise, and more of a kind of like, or keeping it up a chance, and more, is this a reasonable action? If it's unreasonable, you'll get an unreasonable result because the GM will step in and say that is stupid.
Yeah.
You know, so don't do stupid shit, and you learn not to do kind of stupid shit and take cover.
Yeah.
You'll see kind of like I'm running around and taking cover and kind of like and getting behind kind of like the larger kind of more tanky players, and you know, dipping out of the room or leaving early. If I see trouble, kind of like my character is to be protective of Nevin's character first of all, but also kind of like to protect himself. That's his ethos, and that's what he'll do. Now Arnung is kind of much more of an upfront type of fighter, and therefore kind of like he's not thinking, "Oh, I need to hide behind somebody or get out of the way." That's how he got stabbed.
The guy that threw the flaming oil hid behind him, of course. Maybe he's trying to get you. But that is a perfect explanation for this. And as you say, Jabbaji, our dice got to start with. Dice are great to start with. If you've not got a lot of roleplay experience as a group, then it's definitely worth it, because you can hide behind the rules and that sort of thing. And I don't mean hide behind in a negative way. You basically get the rules up, you get to know how it all works, but do not use it as a crux. Move away from it as fast as you can, but whoever in your group turns out to be the GM, whoever turns out to be the good storyteller, the person that can describe what's going on and drag your players in, then that person has to have one, and this is a clear rule. I've had long discussions with different GMs over this. I am not there for my pleasure. This is not me telling a story to make me happy. I am writing. I take pleasure. I am happy when my players are enjoying themselves, when they're so drawn in that they've got 3 hours before they go to work because they've been up all night playing, that they, during the week when we're not got a session, they're thinking about their character and they're developing its story. They're so bought in that they become that character on the night. That's where I get the pat on the back. That's where my reward is. We've had a lot of GMs, vast majority I've come across are like, no, and they want to mess with the characters and manipulate them. It's nothing to do with that.
A lot of GMs just are there to win against the players, and that's not how we play, because we've seen that kind of abused an awful lot. He'll set an impossibly high kind of like standard for standing up on cobblestones which are covered in blood, and you'll have to roll kind of like a high agility to be able to stand up on the blood that you've just kind of like disemboweled somebody on. It's ridiculous. So if you can kind of like get a group together which isn't really worried about kind of like loot and dice rolls and kind of like stats, it just works better, because it's less activity for you to be worrying about, and you can concentrate more on the game. But I mean, a lot of people want to play that chance type of game, and can like work it that way. This is more of a let's get to the crux of the story and see how the characters would react. It's more kind of like role playing than it is pen and paper gaming.
Absolutely, yeah. And we have seen that, some people just want to roll dice for everything. What I would say to find how you and your players are going to be is jump straight from every single thing has to have a dice roll. Forget that, right? No matter what they do, that's how we started. I started 30 years ago. I want to go roll the dice. I want to do this, roll the dice. Simply go. Whatever they have as a skill, they can do. If they have a chance to fail it because they are distracted, then you might want to have a dice roll. For example, say Renyir, he's an acrobat. He can do the trapeze and he can walk across ropes all day. Can he do that while the building's on fire and there's a werewolf below him? I'd probably have some stress there. He might panic. Then there's a difficulty roll there. That's where you go. Now, if you get to that point quite quickly, you can get to the point where you can trust yourself or the other GMs, and they can trust you as a GM to go, I've told a story. It's literally like, for example, saying, right, Lord of the Rings. Nevin, you're going to be a guy called Gandalf. Renyir, you're Legolas. Arnung, you're going to be Aragorn. Leaf, you're going to be Gimli. And then we, the people at home, watch these guys going about this whole ring thing. What's the ring? What's going on? We need to do what? And going by the information they've got. And sometimes they won't tell each other what they know because they don't think it's relevant or they forget. And the story will develop. This is all about them developing the story. I've wrote the bedrock of a campaign. I know the overall scope of it. But each week they breathe life into their story, and that story will develop, because if they don't interact with Joe Bloggs, I don't force them to do it. They might go up to a guy on the street, impact on his life, and that has an impact on the world around them. There's a story there, and we explore it.
Gets turned into a tyrant.
If you're finding that you're getting kind of the people who you're playing with are passive, and you feel like you're making all the decisions, send them to do it. You'll see me kind of pushing Renyir forward, not just because kind of like I don't trust the guy, but also kind of like because it gives him the impetus to actually move forward. You get a kind of like a weird kind of like group dynamic where you got like stronger personalities pushing forward, and then you've got like the quieter personalities who need to be kind of like pushed to the front and go and do your thing, and you'll find kind of like that they are usually the best characters to be there in that position. Renyir is kind of like obviously very skilled, more skilled than I am. I've noticed that, so kind of like he goes first. If there's battle to be done, then and Renyir on Arnung's being quiet, then he'll be pushed to the front. But you kind of need to kind of push them with your character and basically ask them to kind of like to do their thing, ask their opinions and that, and they'll come forward eventually.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it comes down to, at the end of the day. These guys, they're all highly experienced role players, but they're also playing characters with their own worlds and issues and things that they're dealing with. So that's the thing is, you're not going to be, Jumanji Master is playing D&D 5th edition. Tomorrow he's playing Shadowrun. The day after he's playing Merb. It's just the same guy, but a different story. You need to be a different character, and when you go into that, you find that, for example, Renyir is 15. Obviously, Holt isn't, but Renyir is this withdrawn 15-year-old, well out of his depth. Arnung is a 60-year-old veteran, war veteran, with massive mental health issues. Leaf is in his 30s. He's coming out the prime of his life, but he's hardcore. He's lived a hard life, and he's got, he knows his strengths and weaknesses. And then you've got Framling. He's over 1,000 years old. He's so lost in the woods now. A demon got to give him grief today. He let a demon leave.
Yeah, I was surprised at that, because I was quite looking forward to smacking it in the head, like.
I think it got what it wanted.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Well, Arnung was attacked later, so...
No.
It was his blood, wasn't it? And he only wanted this drop of blood, and you cut your whole hand on a razor-sharp sword. I was disappointed in that. I was like, kind of like, I was hoping you just hold it up with your hand and just like, there you go, mate.
A single drop. A single drop.
Asked and delivered.
Yeah. Hack!
Now you've got a bad hand as well, you see.
Yeah. Look it up.
Where you dropped the knife.
I was going to say, that's actually his left hand. That he slashed all the tendons in.
Of course he did.
But
I got carried away with the story.
I think the more you play this type of game, the more, especially when you play with shithead GMs who are just trying to kill you all the time, right? You tend to kind of like develop this really kind of like strong spidey sense as to, if I do this now, I'm going to be punished later. So you play dead cagey and you always get out of the way, line of fire and all that. You've seen it tonight, how I kind of like, I play quite kind of like a cagey game, because I'm used to kind of like, all right, because you didn't get out of the way, you've been kind of like evacuated by some kind of like, I don't know, kind of a shape change or whatever. I remember that time when I was just getting wrecked all the time because I kept on forgetting to move.
when you got dragged all around a zoo by 3 dogs, ripping your arms and legs off.
Yeah. Oh, I'll go forward. I'll do that. No way. I push people to the front now.
Yeah. Yeah, you went forward. You got attacked by a flock of razor birds, and then the dogs dragged you to the floor and chewed bits off you.
It was because you dangled that little bit of loot in front of us, and I was like, I'm having that.
Yeah, it was the special bolter.
Yeah. No longer a goblin.
No, and that's the thing is, there's no. I mean, okay, specifically, it's a story point. The Vaktari were talked about tonight. The Vaktari blade, or as they called it, that made from the cursed Azrael Duras. That means nothing to you guys,
Well, it set the old cortex throbbing, like when I heard that, I was like, okay, this is a good weapon. This, like,
yeah, and it's a plot point. There's a story behind it. Yes, it's a damn good blade, but it's never dulls and all that sort of stuff. But you've got this creature that it can sense the blade in its proximity,
and I wanted nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
which is why I wanted to start smacking it in the head with it, but
Clearly, I mean, I can see when he stepped on and he looked at you. He looked at you, and there was that moment's pause, that leaden pause of, yeah, I'll let it pass. I could tell you were just going to go, nah, stab. I was waiting for Renyir to do something, but I wasn't sure if Renyir was like, I'm going nowhere near it.
Oh, I was ready to go. Like, I was like, what, he's scared of me knife, is he?
Yeah.
Stabby, stab.
So, I mean, I know that we've gone on a little bit longer. We're half past long there. What I wanted to do, and I know because we ran right up to 12, we lost the ability to talk to Nevin. I like to talk about what we've learned in this session. What you guys have picked up, because it's good for me. Keen for me is, or what I like to hear is when you go, your theories. Well, I've heard this, and then this could be this, and I can sit there going, I didn't see that happening. Or did you pick up on the part of tonight's story I was trying to tell? Which bits got missed? So what do you think happened? I mean, obviously, you met up with something. Do we think that Framling reckoned? Well, clearly Framling and this creature knew each other. Does that have any impact on you guys? On your characters, obviously. Do you think... I mean, Renyir's freaked out. He obviously, this thing wants to love him. But Arnung, you've had some time. You've survived an encounter with something nowhere near as scary as this thing. This is like the big brother. And this thing also said, oh yeah, that was a weak one. That's the gimp. and you got Framling going, and I kicked his ass. Yeah, he's the shitty one. We'll let him... He's cannon fodder. We don't care about him. Yeah, well, I mean, what did we feel was tonight a big sort of step in a certain direction? I mean, how were characters feeling?
Well, I mean, obviously, kind of like this guy's kind of like a powerful void dickhead, right? But I got the impression that kind of like he was. I mean, Framling first straight away, as soon as he encountered this kind of being, right, it went down, but he was instantly locked on straight onto the Temple of Moor. And we know that they've been taken over. We know exactly what our target is now. We know what the threat is in this town, right? So we've got a definite path going forward. The deal he made is kind of immaterial to my character. He's like, that was surprising, but there you go, because he's never encountered this kind of power before. It's all kind of like, the circus has just kind of like hit town, and he's kind of like sitting there going, I don't know, but he's doing what he can, and that's all he's going to do. He's being told kind of like that he's trade. He's going to apply his trade. He's going to kind of like see if he can come out on top of it. But I think it was quite telling. I mean, kind of know a little bit about the character that you mentioned. Mm-hmm. The guy, I don't know what his name was. 1 second. Malago. Yeah, that's what Framling called him.
Ulmako.
So Framling called the creature the Urungad. And Urungad called Framling Ulmako.
Ah, right. Okay. So it's not Malago.
No. They also mentioned Corvalt, the Herald.
Right, okay.
There was other names were bandied around. Amadis.
It's difficult to track all these different names because obviously kind of like I'm not very familiar with Warhammer.
It's nothing to do with Warhammer. This is Framling's history.
Yeah.
There's names being bandied around that have appeared at different times over the last 1,100 years, 1,100 years. You only focus on your world in front of you now. He's the one that, and when he went, you're the Urungad, I saw you destroyed 1,000 years ago. There's no way for you to know anything about that.
Oh no, I mean I'm just kind of like it's I hear names and kind of like I think I know who they are and that kind of thing in there. So mine is pure Swiss cheese. So I tend to kind of like, for instance, when you said kind of like sacrifice Mr. Leaf, I didn't give a shit. My character didn't give a shit. You know what I mean? Because he's too much of a trickster himself to give a shit about tricks.
Yeah.
It was so obvious it was a trick, he didn't care.
Yeah, you took a moment, looked back and went, no, get on with the job. So, yeah.
Exactly, he's difficult to con. So, I mean, from that perspective, kind of like, he understood that there was kind of like, incomprehensible power as far as he was concerned.
Absolutely.
But hesitation is always not right. As far as my experience of playing as these different characters, hesitation is always a killer.
Hmm.
And even if he had kind of like, I mean, the guy had been awake, but if we all heard it, which you knew because you look behind and they had that expression on their faces, you expected the guy in the room to have that, So kind of like that would have been kind of like, oh, he's just trying to trick with so he can kind of like raise an alarm or whatever. I wasn't surprised by the everyone being dead.
Really?
I knew, I did expect as soon as kind of like I saw the kind of like the kind of like the infestation of burrows. I knew he was dead. I knew something had been messing on with him, and obviously, we've had kind of like these reports through the investigation that anybody who goes there is affected by something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I knew and so I was expecting some sort of kind of like these Templars to have some form of kind of like catastrophe internally because they're so close to the source. So I thought it's a matter of time before something kicks off there. So when I got there and there's kind of like a feeling that everyone had been murdered, I was like, okay, that I get why that's gone down. And I wasn't sure whether it was in the night before or whatever, but I knew something, like I was expecting a ghost town when I got there.
Yeah.
After the kind of like those few cues,
Well, that's the thing, is because last week, only several hours at game time before you were told, people had heard screams.
Exactly.
And the point of that information being passed in such a way was for certain players, to go, well, yeah, they're torturing people. No, that's getting done in dungeons. Nobody hears them getting tortured.
You pointed that it was actually unusual for that place, and that it's kind of the reason I asked if they'd heard any kind of like noises or activity or anything down in the sewers when we first went in.
I'm going to have to go, so I'll catch you all later. So.
All right. And then,
catch you later, Hull. And that's the thing, is they won't. They won't. Good night, mate. Thanks very much. Best of luck, buddy. See you next week.
See you next week.
Why they said no, we won't go anywhere near the Moor Park, because they are superstitious.
Yeah, well, that's not what I was expecting from the question.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, I'm used to kind of like to reading those little kind of like offhand comments as kind of like big clues, So I started going, oh, hang on a second. So I was kind of expecting to get there and Burrows to be dead. Simply because kind of like I was expecting some form. I knew this thing was related to Burrows in some way, and I started actually thinking about that when we're being chased through the sewers.
Right.
Oddly,
you thought that was a link already.
Well, he was the only person who we knew was alive, and I knew that it was some sort of big bad, and they generally latch on to people,
Yeah. Well, so now you know why. Now you know why he was never taken outside and burnt.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a monster. But yeah,
obviously, the Sigma Rite kind of like the icon that they placed on the table was obviously kind of like holding it at bay, So as things progress, there's always a reason that you're kind of drawing attention to these items and these situations, So kind of like it's quite nice to be able to read it still.
Well, the thing is, you're reading one, and what I'm concerned about is that you get caught up in thinking everything is linked. It's only linked if you link them. Yeah. So you've got a particular story arc that you're on at this point.
I'm not married to any.
Yeah.
So kind of like it's not the only thing I thought of when you say those things, but kind of like it is one of the things I thought of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A possible kind of like situation, because I'm always looking for a way out.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to win. But it's mainly kind of like trying to keep everybody alive so that everyone sees the end of the campaign, because it's not nice to lose people and have character rerolls and all that. I mean, I know that's a possibility in this.
Well, that's the thing, is there's no dice rerolls, and the story, good guys die, or bad guys die, depending on the campaign. There are sad moments, otherwise you don't get that buy-in. And the one thing I've said is, even the Devon's character, who we think it's all about, any single person here whether it's because of a bad decision or because I deem that the story, that point. I mean, you've actually had a character in a previous campaign a few years back who died because it pushed the story in an emotional direction that was very powerful for the other players. And then you took on another character who would go on, but remember you sacrificed yourself to save pretty much everybody in your party.
Oh yeah, killed death.
Yeah, and nobody saw that coming. You know,
Including you.
well, the fact that you sacrificed yourself and you were chasing Holt for the privilege of sacrifice. No, I'll do it. No, I'll do it.
Well, he had no clue what he was going to do.
Nah, no, exactly. But the point being, of course, is that I don't want anybody. I know the players don't, but I don't want people watching to go, "Oh, well, you can't die." No, they can, because the story dictates that some good guys will die. That sad moment that the viewers, that the player will be like, "Shit, I'm dead." But they'll die in such a way. Sometimes it will be heroic, not always. Talbot, you lost a very powerful, long-standing character. Sacrificed himself, detonating a grenade onto his body to save the lives of his crew aboard a spaceship. Different campaign, obviously. That was the Garantine. He died. And he'd been part of your life for 10 years in real life.
Yeah, I missed the Garantine.
Yeah, no, and he died. So yeah, if the story dictates, I will kill a character, but generally that's the ones you don't see coming as players. As players, you will see if you've done something stupid or foolhardy that's going to cause you to be killed. Then you're going to know it's coming because you'll be like, oh yeah, I've just danced in front of a guy with a shotgun.
Oh God!
Remember that one?
I text his back, aye.
Yeah. So
count the rounds.
It wasn't just count the rounds. Oh, everyone's dead. Apart from the guy that I've told you 3 times is standing in front of you with a shotgun. What? All right. Victory dance. Bang.
I still think it's great to give the most powerful character to the biggest idiot, though.
Yeah, I did take great pleasure in doing that. So what do we think, Talbot? How's Arnung? I mean, he's lying on a kitchen table. He's not bleeding out anymore, but how did you deal with... Because you were obviously the front man, and you were clearly not comfortable walking in to doorways when things were laughing at you, growling and slamming doors.
No, Arnung wasn't at all comfortable. He's got obviously a lot of, like you say, as you said, mental health issues. Probably a lot of it is linked to his PTSD and things that have gone on in the past. But yeah, it's from his point of view, it's great for the other characters to see that they see Arnung differently. They've sort of heard of his tales through words of mouth, or through his legends and that have been spoken, but none have actually seen him and witnessed what he's been through. So they just see this veteran, but Arnung is a very broken veteran, and he's at this current stage. I'm hoping that the viewers can see that. Yeah, he's not what you would call you wouldn't expect that from a veteran. You would expect him to be, battle hardened and just be like, yeah, I'm up for anything. I've seen it all. But it's quite the opposite. And I think that little bit, as we came to the end, when he was sort of muttering to himself in and out of consciousness, spoke about Fordell. And obviously, for those who have watched it previously, Fordell was obviously a character that he grew up with. He was his brother, not blood related, but it was his only sort of a brother relation. So obviously losing him was obviously had some sort of impact going forward. So yeah, there's untold story there. I guess this is the best way for it to come out, because it's difficult to say, oh well, bullet point, Arnung's story for the last 30 years. It's difficult to do. So we took a 30-year jump, didn't we, from the previous campaign to this one to say, well, yeah, now he's this retired veteran retired veteran, and then obviously his first glimpse of Arnung 60-year-old was the old friends, and coming face to face with Framling after so many years. And Framling returning was a shock to him. And like I say, in game terms, this has been 8 days now? If that? 5? 6?
Yeah, so 1, 2, 7 days in total since he came off the the ship, the Azrai ship.
Yeah. So it's still all very raw, very, very fresh. So yeah, I mean, like I say, this is for the story, and going back to the earlier point about dice and stuff, and we always found that. Well, I personally found that dice distracted me from the story and the actual character that I want to play. I spent a lot of my time looking at the rules, looking at what my skill sets were, but not actually looking about what's my history, what makes my guy tick or girl, who am I, what's my vision for my character, and obviously Kane will know that where every game that we've played in as a role player, I always off screen chats we have, I'm always trying to develop my guy and whichever character that I'm playing and trying to bring him to life. So there's always a story. So yeah, as far as it's going perfectly, I think, for Arnung. From a story's perspective, it's going great, but obviously not for Arnung himself, because he's not having a good time right now.
I mean, that's the thing. Just you did mention it, but to be quite qualified, this is Fordell was played by Holt. Fordell was Holt's character before Renyir, and you were in your mid to late 20s, and they were throwing people around rooms, getting into bar fights, having all kinds of fun and love and fights and battles, and then obviously something's happened with Fordell. And basically, what we've got here is you've got now a veteran, a guy that's in his 60s, who survived 2 massive wars in the north and built up an empire, but he hasn't drawn a sword, wielded a weapon in 15, 20 years. So maybe that's why he got stabbed, because he's just totally out to practice, rusty. He hasn't had a fight in over a decade, and he's an old man. What the hell are you doing? What the hell is Arnung doing at 60? Well, only Framling can mention this. But now, you've got to consider 8 days ago, Arnung was sitting on a veranda, drinking brandy, looking at his kids with his wife. 8 days later, he's in a pawnbroker's back kitchen in the poor quarter with a massive sword wound through his left shoulder, having nearly bled
And a bad
out.
hand.
and a left hand.
Crap.
Covered in shit. And 7 tendons in his left hand. How the day went south, the Arnung story. But no, but it's a deep story. It's a long thought out story, and people are getting to watch it. And they need. I'm hoping that they'll go to look at the past and get to see where this guy came in. Look at book 2 if you want to know how Arnung started, where these battle scars came from that the priest talked about. Arnung knows. Talbot knows. Nobody else does. Framling left. But hey, did we hear there was a just very quickly, just to finish off there, the Uringard was referring to Framling as Ulmacor. Well, as you two
Yes.
both clearly understand, according to the teachings of the church, they're separate people. Ulmacor was a mortal founding father, perhaps. Do you remember your teachings? Framling is the immortal son of Tal, and yet he's saying it's been a long there's obviously history. You've got 2 creatures clearly talking about being over 1,000 years old. But he also did say a couple of poignant things, important things. Do you think the loyalty of your characters is not caring that, it's like, how many of you have died? In fact, the creature did liken Framling to no different to its own master.
Yeah, I picked up on that, but I also kind of recognise the fact that you're going to have a hierarchy here, and
yeah.
As far as our characters are concerned, they've already kind of committed to the kind of the situation being as it is. You have your leaders and your followers, and you're powerful and you're weak, and I'd much rather be in the middle and the bottom.
Yeah, you're shaping history. Let's be honest. That's what we're saying. Yeah. So, I'm interested to see how next week goes along, because no doubt, even though you're going to head for the priests some more and give them a good shoeing. I think there's a lot of conversation to be had. How's Arnung going to deal with these injuries, dilapidating as it were?
Yeah, I've been worrying about that actually, because I'm thinking, well, okay, so big assault next week maybe, and he's not going to be there.
Yeah.
And Renyir's the only person I can hide behind.
And he's
it'll be
small
literally
for his age.
Like, I mean, the thing is, kind of like Leaf is not a shrink and vile. He's not a coward. He's
Of course
just
he's
not stupid.
Yeah.
You know, and now that the kind of like he understands the importance of having somebody like Arnung on your team. He's a massive intimidation against men. Massive.
Absolutely. Yep.
You know what I mean? Even if they don't know his reputation, his sheer kind of frame is kind of like is going to be kind of like something that it's going to draw fire and literally kind of like intimidate them and possibly kind of like demoralize some,
Absolutely.
especially the ones who are going in with a melee. I'm thinking tactically, it's a big blow to the team, to be honest.
Crippled wing, and let's look at it this way. This isn't all drink a potion of cure wounds. This is I've got a bit of metal that went through my chest and came up my back. It's going to be weeks of recovery. But you're in a situation where even 45% of you, 50% is still better than nothing. Could this may be the night, the raid on the barracks that we one day will look back on and go, actually it was that point that Arnung was pretty much on the road to ruin. Or will he persevere? Will strength of character and grit force him through?
And if it went there the night before, would he have survived at all?
Well, would anybody have? Yeah.
Well, I would have, obviously.
Trust me, that goes through Arnung's mind every night.
I mean, yeah.
Had I not just stepped out my veranda and made my way to stupid frickin' Framling, I'd been still in my veranda.
Yeah, drinking and never. Well, you wouldn't be sitting here now, obviously being guilty of setting fire to the Ulrichsmund. But no, we'll have to wait and see. I think there's a lot of discussions, some talks, and we'll see if Framling's willing to use his power. When forced, he used a big. By the way,
what the fuck was that about? By the way,
what his.
He's on fire. Literally, kind of like it's just a bit of a stabbing the guys down, right? He's on fire. He's obviously not a demon or anything. He's just. There's four. He came around the corner. I went, all right, king of the hill, right? Biggest, meanest Templar. He's the one, right? That's that's why I covered him in oil, because I thought, well, he's almost fucked. So that was my reaction. For him to kind of like bring out the big book of spells and thumb through and go, right, okay, how do I kill a demon? It's like, oh, fuck off.
This is the thing is, obviously, you're looking at the character that's been around a long time. We're looking at Arnung, who's been around 60 years, but 30 physical years active. You've got Framling, the immortal son of Tal, helped create the Empire of Man, and anybody that's watched any of the previous episodes will go, he's like, no power, no power, no power. And somebody goes, boo! And he's like, ah!
He just panicked.
Ah! Fuck!
You know what I mean? He's on fire, he's screaming and kind of like, honestly, I really did expect Arnung to pull a bow. I thought, well, this is perfect, that threw me when he actually kind of got stabbed. But I also threw it when Framling brought out the big book of spells and went, right, okay, immolation. I think then it's like, he's already on fire. Just slap him.
Kick him.
You can't see it. He's literally on fire. He's just kind of heading in the general direction he could last see.
I liked also, because I can obviously when people say something now, my mind will immediately bring back something that was said 3-4 hours ago, even a day before, which is relevant and funny, and I laugh at myself. And I remember that the conversation about an hour in real time beforehand was, how long till John Aru will be here? Days. But he could, if given, if the priests of Moor tell him that you're here, he could be here at the speed of thought. He walks upstairs. Thunderstrike! Boom! That thing that you didn't want to do.
About that bit of the conversation, but I didn't want to kind of like. Obviously, there was nowhere for it to go, so we couldn't get any more information apart from kind of all right. So possession of some description.
I know. From a sort of external perspective, it does really, tick me off, right? That Framling be the first one to have a go on and go, oh, you know what? You didn't really think. You didn't really think just because he was giving you a bit of jib and you lost it. You lost it and you didn't think and you reacted. Oh, you killed a person in reaction. And look what he does. He does exactly the same. But it has more severe consequences.
He was in a corridor surrounded by dead people. He's freaked out. I mean, come on, let's be honest. The Urengard was going, you haven't been in a fight. You've allowed your skills to waste. You've avoided confrontation. The Urengard hasn't actually lied at all, including the horrible things he was saying about him, clearly. You're no match because you're not exercising these skills. And then he goes around the corner, dead people, boo! Straight away.
You could sense he was on edge, though. He was sensing, I could tell that he was on edge, and he just wanted to go, no, I really want to kill this creature really badly. I want to show him who's boss. I want to show him who Framling is.
Yeah.
But he didn't. He held back. But then he took it out on the other thing.
On the other thing, yeah. The warrior, the survivor who's like, woohoo! I am death. Boom! I am fire! Woohoo! But hey, if you faced Arnung fought Armidas and survived as a younger man unscathed, well, he didn't. Actually, to be fair, Framling butchered him with an axe, but you threw him in a fire. You've just survived an encounter with the Urengard, which I think I don't know. Would you possibly look at this and go, he let it go because he was outclassed?
It felt like that. Yeah.
When it stepped down from the wall and crouched before him and continued to talk almost casually, he was like, "I'm not even going to test this." Yeah, you can go because I'm letting you. Or that's just because I don't obviously know what was going through Framling's mind.
Well, I felt when it was giving them the information, I was like, but the priests of Moor were already kind of on me list of things to check.
Yeah,
you'd already told her that shit was going on underneath the temple as we walked through the first grating. As we entered in there, you gave her that.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. And personally, I would have wrecked him. If I'd been playing Framling, I would have wrecked it. There and then, fuck you, dead.
Bring all the walls down on you. I think the point is Framling doesn't know the extent of his enemy's power. He is reluctant to go up against one until he knows more, because if he's wrong, everyone dies. He might be looking at the game, or he might be looking at he's lived 1,100 years and he just doesn't want to fucking die. But the longer you live, the more precious it becomes. Apparently, that you don't want to let it go.
Yeah,
you just don't know.
It was perfectly trapped there. It was literally a gift from my perspective, and I'm like, it was chained to a wall. It was trapped in a cell. Yes, it was whispering ears, but we had it.
If you're going to,
we should have killed it.
Yeah, the Urengard, if it's as powerful as it looks, what's our job? Our job is to kill these things. So does it matter if we're worried about it? We've got to kill them. That's what we're here to do. If we all die, well, at least we did the right thing. We'll feast with Tal. So I understand totally the fatal approach to this side of things. Oh, it's a dragon. Yeah, I've got to kill dragons. It's going to kill you. I know that, but I'm a dragon slayer. I've got no choice. The village is going to burn, and I died. Well, yeah, but it's my job. So I understand that as well. The fatal approach of no, we're going to fight it. If it's as powerful as we think, and it's as scary as we think, this was its weakest moment. It ain't going to get worse.
He should have been here for me. Violence solves everything speech. That's what he should have been here for, and then he would have understood that kind of Leaf is always right.
Arnung will have a story about.
Arnung would have been with us as well. Kill it, man.
Arnung, I will recall maybe when you're convalescing that you tell Leaf a story in next week's sessions when it gets brought up. Why did you let it live? And he'll say something, whatever. And you can go, I remember a priest. We all went, well, that's not going to bite us in the arse. We should let him go. He does have a history of making these decisions, and everyone around him rolling their eyes like, what?
Well, I was rolling my eyes pretty hard there when he decided to negotiate for a bit of information.
Well, at least you know where some of the enemies are.
Well, whatever. We knew that.
Well, that's another. It just highlights, right? Go on, sorry, what were you saying?
No, go on.
I was saying, no, it just highlights that the difference between dice rolling and this. And again, I'm not knocking dice rolling. It's just that, just imagine if we had dice, what was the natural thing that we would have done? It's a beastie. How many hit points? Do you think how many XPs we'll get by killing that thing?
Yeah, that is.
And
That,
we'll just forget about the story.
and yeah, you're thinking kind of like, what's it wearing? What kind of weapons has it got? Has it got any kind of like bags next to it or anything like that? You know? What about chests?
Oh,
Has it got
knowing
any
you guys,
hanging from the neck?
that's what I was going to say. Knowing you guys, you'd be like, right, I can cut those fingers off and mount them on a glove. Those quills, I'll put them on a shield, and I can hit them with these quills. You know, you used to walk around butchering things and attaching their body parts to your armor. But anyway, we're talking. It's now got to 1 o'clock. So Jumanji, Arnung, where about in Toon you from? May seem strange, but I recognise you.
Oh, you recognise us?
You just made it strange there.
Did make it strange.
He's from the West End. You're from the West End.
From the West End.
That's the most we're going to give.
Yeah. Well,
Because
I've been around.
we've heard that rumour.
I know.
And also,
I'm
I'm jealous. I want to get into it more, but I can't find a suitable group that can commit to regular sessions. You know, not everybody can, mate, and it'll come and go with time. You know, depending on your age, you've got big changes coming. I'm assuming that you're not our age. So, you know, there'll be holidays and all that sort of stuff.
You're fine, our age.
You're next to the airport. Right, as in Newcastle Airport. You're not far away, mate. If the siren went off here and kept on going, you'd hear the same thing. Well, not everybody. Not everyone. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Not everyone's the same place. I mean, I know that you know, Renyir is at least an hour's trip by car. Nevin is on the other side of the planet. He's 8 hours ahead in the Middle East, no, Far East, and Middle East. Leaf is off down the West Coast. West Coast? Yeah, West Coast.
Yeah.
Aren't you? In the boondocks. Myself and Talbot are close. In more ways than one. He's married. But yeah, so you are remarkably close to me and Talbot. Then again, would have been with Ivan, but you know, he moved. In fact, I could have said that about all of us. Everyone's kind of moved and come back and separated again. But anyway, Jumanji, thanks very much for stopping by. Stick with it, mate. There's times it'll be dry and you'll get some people. Be open to talking to people about it. You'd be surprised at who you can recruit. When I got Ivan involved, I'd known him several years. And his walk of life, what he did for a living, what I was doing for a living, you kind of didn't see that coming. You know, I mean, there was obviously, like most of us were, some of us are gamers, some of us aren't. But roleplay does get a bit of a frown upon, you know, gets laughed at and that sort of thing. But circumstances at a particular place we were at led us to having some free time. I mentioned it to him, and he took to it like a duck to water. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid, don't be embarrassed by your hobby. Because shit, at the end of the day, you could be washing a car engine in the sink, or drinking, or being an arse. You know, this is a good way. It keeps your imagination going, and I promise you this, an active imagination helps you in nearly absolute every walk of life, no matter what you face. Keeps you mentally nimble. Go for it. Literally at the end of the runway. That puts you near you're in Ponteland. Yeah. Or what's the other end? Ponteland, that's
Paris Hall.
The other end. Well, Darras Hall and Ponteland are the other end, and you've got the private road.
Can't remember what it is. There used to be a pub down there.
Yeah, well, it's also close to Gosforth, depending on how close you're looking at.
Yeah.
Anyway, lads, I've got to go to bed. Not as much as you two.
Dinnington.
Yeah.
I said Dinnington.
I was trying to think of that because
I
I
didn't hear
used to come from there.
Yeah.
I used to work with.
Well, we're a little bit more towards the city, mate. We're in literally on the west end. So we're at the other end of the airport. Yeah. You are less than 3 miles. True. You're less than 3 miles away. Because Dinnington's closer, depending on which route you go, of course, up past the Wheatsheaf. So, well met, young sir. Very strange to find a fellow Geordie that close and up late.
Way aye,
man.
Yeah, man.
Guys, I'm going to call it a night. Thank you very much for starting. Hey, never got to mention. Did we enjoy the new graphics?
What?
Did we enjoy the new graphics?
What new graphics?
Oh, yeah, you want
Oh, the
blew over
start.
budget on.
Yeah. I blew all the budget. All 20p. and a pack of grapes. We'll have to wait and see them. I'm going to get better. They're gonna, it might even change by next week again. But there was fire. Did you see the
I
fiery
saw
wolf?
I saw
I
that.
did.
Yeah, that's good and evil. Whoa. Right. Jumanji, thanks for hanging out with us, mate. We'll see you next
Thanks,
Thursday,
Jumanji, mate.
starting
See you
around
next
about
week.
9:15. Next Thursday. And, yeah. We also got a new follow as well. We're supposed to learn to not react to them, but we all stop because we wonder what the hell was that noise, and then dance.
Well, it comes straight through though. It's literally on the screen.
Yeah. Aye.
Tequila.
Yeah.
It's like trying to make everything low key, and then suddenly this follow alert. It was a bit much. Maybe it's not with the music.
Yeah, I think you're right. Because at the end of the day, it
There
is.
wasn't salsa music or something.
Yeah. Well, it gets your attention, but I think it's far too loud and long for a follow. If that was a
Yeah.
subscription, maybe. The subscription, strange enough, is just. Yay! I think I got it the wrong way around. Yay!
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Jumanji, we haven't got a Discord. We thought about it, we didn't do it, but we'll keep you in mind, mate, if we're going to do anything. We want to grab some, put you in. Top of the list, simply because you asked. Is Shy Ben's getting out?
Absolutely.
So,
Well, I really appreciated that. Thank you very much, Jumanji, for sticking by with us for this long. I would love to have you again next week.
Yeah. So with that all said and done, see you next Thursday, 9:15ish. And thanks very much, lads.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Take care. Ta-da.
What happens if I press this button?
Pause.